Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever you might be watching or listening to Aaron's show, the podcast for blind people, where we talk about issues in the blindness community. Today, we want to give a very, very warm welcome to someone who has been watching my show and was very enthusiastic about coming on to our show today. Everybody, let's give a warm welcome to Melissa Dewhurst. Melissa, welcome to Aaron's show. How are you?
Pretty good. Excited to talk about today's topic. You?
I am certainly ready. So, Melissa, you were saying that you would like to speak about accessibility. I think that's a really
Yes.
important topic, and I think it's an issue in our community for sure as it relates to technology, your home life, your work life, your community, wherever you might be. So, go ahead, take a stab at it. Just sort of dive into it any direction you want, and start talking about what you think about accessibility. As you go through, I will clarify things if I feel our listeners need more information, and I'll ask you questions if I want to learn more. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Dewhurst from America, and I am legally blind. Um, right eye low vision, left eye blind. And my take on accessibility, it's a big problem for people that can't see too well. Or if you're nearsighted like me, as well as I'm also nearsighted, it can be hard to see what you're doing on your laptop or tablet or cell phone. Um, or, just sometimes the magnifier will not work. So accessibility comes in big handy. Because I feel like it's a big issue here, especially, because who wants to be straining at their screen all day trying to read and having headaches, which I get nearly every day. And I feel like screen reading, like I have Voice View screen reader on my Amazon Fire tablet, and she helps me. I also have who on my tablet. I'm not gonna trigger her, but she starts with an A. Um, Alexia on my tablet. But if you also have an iPhone, TalkBack on the iPhone is also great too. It's also on the Android. It's in your accessibility settings in your settings app. And I like how technology has increased over the years because it enables people like me and Aaron to navigate and do whatever you do on our devices just a little differently. I also have to use a white cane to get around. Any of you who use a white cane will know that it can be pretty tricky to get around. You have to be very careful and tell people, excuse me, coming through here. Um,
Actually,
also,
that's really fascinating me that you say excuse me, because if you must know the truth, I don't say excuse me.
I kind of tend to have a habit of manners when I'm outside.
Well, good. So, that's interesting that you say all of that. Let's go back to the computer and kind of how you navigate your technology, inside your home. Can you tell our listeners, especially our listeners who are not blind, can you tell them more about what accessibility really means, what voiceover is? Try to describe the software a little bit more, Melissa, because I have found that a lot of people are just not very familiar with what it really is.
Accessibility, it's a mode on your phone, tablet, or laptop, and it enables you to be able to navigate your device with visual magnification or a screen reader. A screen reader is what basically will read out through voice, kind of like your tablet will be talking to you in a way, um, or your cell phone or laptop will be talking to you in a way. Because like I have Voice View Screen Reader on here, and what that does is it's like a screen reader, and whatever you move one single finger around, it'll read what's under your finger, and then it'll tell you double tap to activate, which means tap twice with one finger fast to open said app or search bar, or bring up the search whatever you're looking for, or app, or open whatever. Like, say I want to go on Facebook, I will take my finger and navigate with my finger till I hear Facebook, and I will double tap, which opens it up, and it will tell me where I am on Facebook. Like, for example, when I open up Facebook, voice view will say Facebook, downloading, home, and it'll tell me what feed I'm on. It'll say like you're on news feed or something like that. Narrator on my laptop would do basically the same thing, and I'll be on YouTube and I'll be on a video and I'll look for the title of the video, and it'll say the title of the video, like Star Wars Episode 4, this and that, and it'll tell the uploader's name and how many views it has, and you can choose the speed of however fast you want it to read to you. And accessibility translates to making it easier to access, making it hassle-free, so you're not over here straining, so we visually impaired are not over here straining to try to see our screens.
Excellent. And I really like the way you described all of that. That's a good explanation for basically how it allows you to navigate the platform. I think that companies like Facebook have done a really good job with accessibility because they realize that in most of the internet traffic today, the vast majority revolves around Facebook all over the world. So I think that companies like Facebook are doing a great job when it relates to accessibility. Yeah, that's what I think about that. Yeah. So, um, Melissa, how do you spend your time um,
I'll
every day?
be I'll be on my laptop or tablet or phone watching YouTube videos, if not going to Facebook every now and again, and now maybe Skype, because now I downloaded Skype on both my Amazon Fire tablet and my Kyocera Android phone.
Right.
I have an Android,
Mm-hmm. Good,
and
good.
my
And what can you tell us about the accessibility of your Android?
Android has what's called TalkBack, and TalkBack basically functions like how Voice View Screen Reader would, only it's on a cell phone. Now, I'm holding my cell phone at a normal viewing angle, and I can barely read the text here. Um, like, for example, if I want to get to my home screen, I feel for the home screen. Recent apps. Skype dismiss. Home. And I'm on the home screen, and I navigate around the screen with one finger. Home screen 3. HD movie box. Facebook. Discord. Weather. Live player. Home. The Rebel Hang up. Note. Lcast. Note. Hang up. Home. The Rebel Armory. Double tap to activate. Double tap and hold to long press. And TalkBack is basically a screen reader on your cell phone. It's in your accessibility settings. You go to settings, down to where it says accessibility with the blue white hand, and the first option will be TalkBack, and it'll be off for you. And then you go to the on switch, which is to the top right. Flick that to the right on, and it'll give you TalkBack needs to turn on Explore by Touch. And Explore by Touch is where you use one finger. Butter. Discord. Hangouts. Showing item 3 of 5. Double tap to activate. Double tap and hold the long press. To navigate around. And if I want to open an app, like say the Rebel Armory here, the Rebel Armory, which is a Star Wars forum I'm on, I open it. Chrome. and I can search around.
The Rebel Armory added list. Profile in list. Click here. The Rebel Armory. Home. The Rebel Armory. Ira Charity Ventures. In grid. Home. The Rebel Armory forum. Out of grid.
And
Home. The Rebel Armory. List showing 3 items. Welcome Jenna Padawan Melissa. Brick. Growth dismissed. Home.
and talkback is basically like that, where it's like, if you think of an iPhone, talkback is on the iPhone too. However, I've been looking up iPhone features, and there's a feature called Braille input. Because the iPhone.
By the way, the iPhone version, we just have to be careful when we're on a public show like this. We have to say some right vocabulary. The Apple product is called VoiceOver, and yes, you are right. VoiceOver is what it's called. Apple's VoiceOver is similar to Android's TalkBack. Yes, right.
What's really got me upset is that whereas iPhone has what's called Braille screen input, and you have a little rotor that you twist. Me, I can't do that on the Android. I can flick.
I've kind of heard of it. I've never used that feature. Can you? I mean, I know that it's there. Can you remind me and talk more in detail about that feature? From the rotor to the Braille thing, can you tell us a lot more about that? I don't use it, so it's a little hard for me to explain it to people.
I don't use an iPhone either, but I looked up Braille screen input for VoiceOver, and it's basically it's like a brailler on a screen, and you take your little fingers to the rotor and you feel for Braille screen input, and it'll come up as 6 dots on your screen, and you take 3 fingers of each hand as if you're on a brailler, and you put your fingers where the dots are as if you're on a imaginary brailler, and you braille like how you would on a brailler, only it's on a screen.
I think using the English letters, I think the Roman alphabet is just easier. If you're on a screen, just type. I don't know why we have to have that. I'm not really sure. I mean, since I don't do it and I've never spoken to anyone who. Actually, I take that back. One of my other friends does use it, and I've never understood why they use it.
I think it's easier. I think it's easier to type when typing normally is tricky. Typing for me is tricky, and I tend to strain a lot. And I also physically braille, not on a brailler, but with punch and braille. I would take a tag and punch every meticulous dot of said letter, and when I go to read, I would take a finger or two and slide slowly, spelling it out in my head and then reading it. I also want to, for any cane users out there, if anybody ever used the white cane, because I know I have one, I use a method called 2-point touch as well as constant contact when I use my cane. Which is basically sliding the cane like a lightsaber kind of deal, but on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. It's important not to use the cane as a lightsaber, because then sighted people might complain about us using canes, right?
Yeah. I've gotten more control over it now.
That's true. Yeah, usually when you grow up, you have your number one, you're more mature and you're able to control yourself a little bit more. Also, when you're a child, you don't have as much control of your muscles when you're a child. So it's a little bit harder to kind of gauge what you're really doing when you're a kid growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen videos of kids swinging like a lightsaber all over the place, and I was like, oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
go
think
ahead
it's
with
yes, go ahead.
go ahead with your go ahead with your take on this topic.
I really appreciated the way that you showed our listeners how Android's TalkBack works. That was excellent. You navigated the screen some. You opened an app. I think people are really going to get a lot out of that, Melissa, because I think that people are very apprehensive and very shy about using different accessibility tools that are basically right under their nose, right there for them. They don't even realize are there.
It's
If
right there.
it's right there, yeah. And if you do not mind me asking, why do you have an Android? Why did you get the
Um,
Android?
it wasn't me mainly. It was my parents. I'm under my parents' roof still.
Right. You don't
Even
need to
though
make right and I think and I secretly am the same. So you don't in
yeah,
the blindness community we don't need to make a big deal of that. But just in general, talk about the Android and what you think of that device as a whole.
the Android is a pretty neat phone.
Okay.
My phone is kind of small, sized for my hands. However, I recommend the LG as my father has an LG. Um, and I tried this phone before. I tried this LG phone before, and it's higher quality with the camera. Whereas my camera on the cell phone, you probably saw it, it's low quality. Um, I recommend the LG, the latest Android phone.
Hmm.
Um, and when it comes to accessibility on the Android, TalkBack is a great help because magnification may not always help, and
Okay. All right.
that's where
But
that's
let's
where
say
TalkBack helps.
indeed. Let's say for example that you're listening to Aaron's show right now and you're blind. And by the way, you are talking to the world right now because yeah, let me interrupt myself for a little basically for some station identification. You're listening to Aaron's show on Anchor. And my anchor charts and my anchor statistics and analytics have showed me that you could be listening to Aaron's show from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, um, let's see, Vietnam. We have a flag in Vietnam, Colombia, and Spain and Brazil. So we're glad to have you all from all over the world. And if you want me to mention your flag, then don't forget to go over to this show and listen to this podcast on Anchor, and then your flag will eventually be in my statistics in my analytics as long as you are at least 1% of the audience is the cutoff. Yeah, because Spain is 1%, Colombia 1%, Vietnam 1%. Yeah, and then Brazil is a 5%. But that's also interesting to study where you might be listening to us from, to study how different countries access podcasts and things. But let's say you're blind in I don't know, in Vietnam, and you just downloaded Aaron's show and you're wondering, oh geez, Aaron, should I get an Android phone? Melissa, what do you think? Do you think an Android phone is appropriate for a blind person? Meaning, does it really do everything that you would want it to do for you?
Well, there are some apps that I really want but can't get on Android.
Right.
Like Be My Eyes. I can't.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me see if we at Aaron Show could maybe consider helping you with that. So Melissa, you would like Be My Eyes to be part of the Android market, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Well,
everybody's gonna own an iPhone.
and you know what? I think I'm going to take action on your behalf on that. I think that I will try to I will consider looking into that for you. I don't want to make a big scene, a big deal of it, but that's a big issue for me, because there are a lot of blind people around the world who, and by the way, I am not trying to, I'm not saying that this is your situation, so you do not need to feel embarrassed at all about this, but there are a lot of blind people. Actually, most blind people around the world are not able to have an iPhone for various reasons. So I think the fact that Be My Eyes is not even on the Android market. I mean, Melissa, are you sure? But I believe you obviously, but are you sure that Be My Eyes is not on the Android market? Are you sure?
I checked my Google store for Be My Eyes. Let me find it here.
Okay. Yeah, let's do a little investigation right here on Aaron's show. Let's check, please.
Play Store.
I'm on my Play Store.
For you. Search for apps and games. Edit box. Editing. Search for app. Voice search button. Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes app for Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes app for the blind. Navigate up button. English US 40 keyboard hidden.
This is Talkback in action.
Well, that's what
Blind and visually impaired assistant. Right here. Start. App C. Cloud sighting. App. Get their GPS map for blind. Blue Lash. App. Blizzarilla GPS for blind. Blizzarilla. Star rating 4. App. Blind Legend. DOWINO. App. Accessible fun for the blind free. Baby in areas. Star rating 4.3.
There's like one,
Double
but
tap
it's
to
not
activate.
what
Double
I
tap to hold for long
want.
press. Showing app My Eyes Protection. Capron app. Star rating 4.3. App My Eyes Protection. Capron app. Star rating 4.3. App Tech Reading for visually impaired. BI developers. Star rating 4.8. App visually impaired. Jawater coder. Star rating 4.1. App Smart Braille. Tisevsky. Star rating 4.2.
There's
Double tap to
two,
activate. Double tap
one
to hold for long
about
press.
Braille.
App Blind Explorer. GEAONABSAT. Star rating 3.7. App Colorblind Pal. Vincent Fiorentini. Star
Be
rating
My
4.1.
Eyes, if any of you don't know, Be
Double tap
My
to activate.
Eyes is
Double
an
tap to hold for long
app
press.
where you basically connect to the first available helper and you VC with them, and they guide you wherever you're going, or they read things out to you. It's a physical person, sighted person, by the way, that helps
Mm-hmm.
you. Yeah.
So basically, Be My Eyes, listener. Be my. Uh, Here, let me explain a little bit. So I think what it does. By the way, I now guys, I've never used it. What it does
Me
is
neither.
it create
I want
is
to.
it creates. Hold on, I have a dog and I just brushing off a dog here. I just noticed here. Hold on. Be Be My Eyes is basically you video call with a volunteer who helps you. So Melissa, let's say that you needed help reading a letter, that for some reason there was some letter that was sent to you the old-fashioned way, as we used to say in the 20th century. They would send letters, and technically letters are still sent today. Actually, letters are formal means of lawful communication for various issues. It could be all sorts of different reasons. But
I have a card. I have a card from my best friend from school, and I can barely read it without getting super mega close and straining.
I see. So yeah, so Be My Eyes basically connects you with a video, and on the other side of the camera is a volunteer who is ready to help you and read to you what's going on. Yes, I've never used it because simply I've never needed it. The other app that is a step up from Be My Eyes, that is more advanced, and you have to pay money for it, and it just I have no idea if this is I don't know. Probably it's just more of an advanced app. It's called IRA, which is a kind of a level above. It's kind of a different, kind of a more advanced, more of a robust or bona fide, I guess, more of a robust form of Be My Eyes, I guess. But yeah, that can be a useful tool for people. So, if you're listening, goodness, if you're listening to Aaron's show and you're sighted, and you're wondering, I really want to help a blind person, but I don't know an appropriate way to do it. Well, I think if you want to volunteer a couple of weeks on Be My Eyes, I think you could give it a try. What do you think?
It could help, because
Yeah,
if you're legally blind like me, you can sign up as, hey, I'm blind, I need help, and
right,
and you
right,
connect to first available volunteer and wait for them to pick up and, hey, I got
right.
this, I can't read it, help.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And sure. So that's a really useful software. I would ask you, so let's go back and kind of, this is the interesting thing about a podcast is we're really just sort of jumping all over the place here today. So
Yeah.
when you were on the Google Play Store, it was not clear to me, Melissa, and I guarantee you it was not clear to the listeners. Is Be My Eyes in the Google Play Store?
I'm not too sure because
Well, it
I'm
sounded like you
looking.
were here. It sounded like you were looking it up, though.
Yeah, I
I
was.
think I misunderstood what you were doing. Can you go back and just tell me what you were looking up? Because
I
I'm a little
was looking.
confused.
I was looking up the Be My Eyes app. Um, the one that you connect to the first available helper, and some people in the VIP community have
Showing
it.
items 16 to 23 of 41. App blind accessibility keyboard. Bill Hayes. App seeing assistant home light. Transition technology soft. App visor. Low vision magnifier. Christian Elise. App color blindness test. Color vision eye tests. App my eyes. EP technologies. Star rating 4.6.
My eyes, but not what
Right.
I
Play
want.
So,
Store. Portrait.
but I
Place.
thought I thought you couldn't get it on your Android though. So I'm still confused about how you're able to find it if you cannot have it on your Android.
Oh, I'm looking through the listings of my search, trying to find it. And
Oh, okay. So are you?
I'm looking
Let's
through
see.
my listings of
How
my search on the
how
Play
are you
Store.
how are you searching? What platform are you searching through?
Google Play Store. And I'm basically using TalkBack to help me read out
Okay,
what's listed.
so I thought Android had, okay, so I'm still confused. So I thought Android had the Android market. So how does Android have the Google Play Store?
It comes equipped with the Android.
Ah, okay. So you're telling our listeners that the Google Play Store is part of the Android device.
It depends on what kind of phone you have,
Right.
but my phone came with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, good. So
Items
then
19 to 25 of
would
41.
you be able to use Be My Eyes on your Android then?
Probably not my kind of phone, because the volunteer has to really hear you and see where you're pointing your camera, and my microphone might not be loud enough for said volunteer to hear me.
Okay,
Um,
so maybe you feel like your phone is not strong enough or is not equipped to handle Be My Eyes.
yeah,
Could that be
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay, I see. Because at first, the way you were explaining it at first is you were explaining that it's not available on the Android market is what it was at first. But
That's what I thought too.
oh, okay. So then you discovered. I think what it was you thought that it wasn't in the Android market, and then you started to look for it on the Google Play side, found that it was there, but then you concluded with us today on this topic that you don't think it would be a good fit for your phone with your phone's capability.
Depending on the type of Android you have, it's mainly for iPhones. If you
Hmm.
haven't noticed, like if like that's really depressing because I can't get an iPhone.
Right, and I agree. I agree that that can be difficult. I mean, do you have what other pieces of technology do you have? Do you have like a tablet or what else do you have?
I'm using my Amazon Fire tablet right now to talk to you, Aaron, and it has voice view screen reader, and it's
Mm-hmm.
basically the same thing as TalkBack. Um, like I can navigate around, look for Facebook. It'll tell me what messages are coming in, or if I scroll down with 3 fingers on my home screen, it'll bring up, the notification shade.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing on my phone here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Notification shade.
I just brought it down with 2 fingers on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Play Store.
I'm not gonna struggle to try to find the Be My Eyes help. It's a wild search.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that we're having this podcast right now so that we can go over this material because I know that there are many blind people who need to learn about this. Yeah.
yeah, they need to know that your phone might not be, uh, audio and visually ready depending on the age of phone. And I had
Right.
this phone for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's on the old side. Um,
Right. Right. I see. I see.
I think
Okay.
I think the newer models might carry it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a possibility. It's about going to your app store with your screen reader and searching around for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just voice search Be My Eyes. Capital BE space MY space EYES. Be My Eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. Well, that's excellent. So listener, if you have questions or if you're watching on YouTube or if you're seeing this on the Facebook feed, just go ahead because Melissa did a great job showing us how all of that works. But I think I'm anticipating that we're going to get a lot of feedback and a lot of questions. So if you have a question for us, don't be shy, guys. Just type your question, comment below, wherever and whatever format you're watching or listening. Just comment below, ask your question, and if it's an appropriate question, if it's a good question, I'll get back to you. The other thing that you could do, listeners, and you all out there are too shy to do it, or you feel like it's perhaps not a good idea to put your voice into my show, which I completely understand, your hesitation. But the other really good thing is if you ever want to be heard on the show, kind of similar to a call-in show, you can always leave me a voice message on my show's page, on the anchor page. And if I like your comment and if I like what you said, then I would gladly include you in a maybe an audience segment or something like that. I would play your message, and then I would answer your question for everybody because I know that I want to start having some real discussions and kind of use this show as an educational tool for people. So I think if we have more audience participation, I think that would make it a lot more exciting. So don't be shy. Participate out there, guys. Okay. Anyway, back to you, Melissa. So what are some other activities? I mean, you started to talk about it a little bit. Think back before I turned on the recorder a few minutes ago. You started to talk a little bit about some other activities that you do when you are outside of your home. Let's move towards that. Go.
Um, I can't do it right now because of the coronavirus. But when things were healthy, I would take walks with my brother, grab my cane, and say, "Yo," insert my brother's name here. I'm ready for a walk because I need a guide, a sighted guide, my brother in this case, to guide me around. I don't have to always hold arms. It's nice, but I prefer to walk, with just hearing turn left now, turn right now, because I struggle with directional, like left from right, what's forward, what's down in front of my feet, and that's where the cane comes in handy. Because without my cane, believe it or not, I get bruised and bloodied up sometimes. Um, to keep it from getting too graphic here, but I really get bruised up if I hit too hard. Um, I actually had an accident in high school where I was walking without my cane and bam into a big metal pole in school.
I hate that. Yeah, I've done that. Everybody does. By the way, sighted people do that too occasionally. Yeah, that's horrible. I hate that.
I went to the nurse, lost my glasses in the process, spent the rest of the day blinded.
Oh
Um,
God. Oh, ooh la la. Ooh la la.
ooh,
Ay, ay, ay. Jeez. Well,
but
yes. Mm-hmm.
but I also but about back to the walking. My brother, he'll guide me. I'll be walking. We won't hold hands too much, but he'll give me sensational signals. Like he'll tap my right shoulder, my for turn, left. He'll turn my, left shoulder for turning left. Tap my right for turning right. He'll nudge me in the middle of my back for hey, go forward, and without saying a word. And then when it comes to crossing a street, I get very and then he'll tell me which way I have, which turn options I have, because I know a road is there because I can see colors and shapes. Um, things are clearer with my glasses, but I can only see so much so far, and it can be hard to cross the road sometimes. So I don't know when to cross, when not to cross, because there's so many cars where I live, and it can be kind of creepy when you're legally blind like myself.
Or me.
Yeah, or Aaron here, because we both probably use a white cane. You probably use a cane too yourself. A white, red, and black cane.
Yes. Oh, yes, I do. Right.
Do you ever get the feeling when you go to cross the street, you get the feeling of, do I cross now? Do I cross now?
Well, that can be hard. I mean, it depends on where. It really depends. A lot of it actually is. It depends on where you're living, and it depends on the people around you, because usually when you live in a place for a long enough period of time, people kind of get used to you like that. So it does depend on where you're living. You know, um, in
but back
my
to,
oh yes, go ahead.
but back to, but back to my cane. Whenever I extend my cane out, people either A, back up, oh crap, blind woman, you're okay, you need help, I'll get out of your way. Or, yo, watch out! I had it at the store several times, using my cane, and I heard, yo, watch out! um, they, they got their idiot of a friend to move out of my way, um, which is pretty nice. People see that white cane and they know instantly, oh, visually impaired person coming, which is nice when it comes to the white cane. Everybody knows what it means. If you
Yeah, they do seem to. I would agree with you, Melissa. People do seem to be aware. I've noticed it in New York too. In some of the most developed cities in the world, people in those cities tend to have higher functioning skills, it seems. So they are able to handle that better in major cities, I think. Hmm.
um, I don't know if Braille is a good topic, but back to
I
the walk.
oh well, you can talk about Braille.
Because I will for kind of time use Braille. It avoids straight headaches. Um, like I purchased myself by hand a little Braille book. I sadly don't have a Brailler anymore. It sucks. But I have a device called an NLS, capital N, capital L, capital S together.
Right. So just phonetically, for anyone who misheard, the phonetics would be November Lima Sierra, Lima Sierra. Yes, November Lima Sierra. Hmm. And
Oh, but
and and what?
it's a device. It helps you read books.
Okay, so NLS. So what does that stand for?
National Library Service.
Okay, good. Yes. Hmm.
And it's a device. I probably can't show it here because I don't know if Aaron will allow video. Probably
No,
not.
no, thank you. This is strictly
Oh,
a audio show. It's a lot of reasons. One
okay.
of the most obvious is the video. I've noticed that the video really decreases the value of the show. It it
Oh,
disrupts the audio a lot, and it just weakens the experience.
oh,
So
that.
Melissa, why don't you take it out if you want, and show us, like, try to describe it for the blind
Um,
listeners.
it's a black kind of tape recorder ish. If you guys ever owned a tape recorder, which I have, it's similar to
Good.
a tape recorder. Only the difference is instead of recording on tapes, it has braille on it. Not the braille full words, but braille lettering. If you guys ever did contracted braille blind ones, if you blind ones ever did contracted braille, you'll know certain letters equal to certain words, like AB for about, F for, P for place, power. But in this case, it'll mean power. And I feel right now under my finger dots 1, 2, 3, 4, which is P, and to the left of that is a red circle, which is the power button. Turn it on.
Player on. Press any button to learn about its function. Battery charge remaining 13 hours.
And it tells me my
Mm-hmm.
battery life. And it has braille. It has print on here too, but I don't know what the print says. I don't want to strain to read it. So I go for the next best thing, the braille that's on here. And
Really well done. I mean, we're really on a roll today. You showed us your Android. Now you're showing us this device. Here, go ahead. Show us more features. The listeners are really going to get a lot out of this. Go ahead.
this is pretty cool. I know some of you can't see this, but you'll feast your ears on this. I'm gonna press now the green square.
Play, stop. To start or stop playing a book, use the large play stop button. When the book is playing, press this same button to stop the player. When you press play again, the book will continue playing where you last stopped. You may also press and hold this play stop button for 2 seconds to read the player user guide. If the cartridge contains more than one book, then pressing and holding the play stop button will enter the bookshelf. From the bookshelf, you may select from the books available or the user guide using the rewind and fast forward buttons. To exit the bookshelf and play the book, press the play stop button again. When you have explored all the buttons and are ready to play a book, insert a cartridge into the slot located in the front center of the player. Insert the end of the cartridge opposite the finger hole first. Push firmly to lock into place. There is a retractable handle that may be used to transport the player. You may store the power cord in the space at the back of the player when battery powered, or when the player is not in use.
It's basically
Outstanding. Really, really, really good. I think that really illustrates to our listeners how this technology is used. I remember these. Yeah. I got mine from my library for the blind, and they
me
have a
too.
device. Right. They have a device like that. I remember that mine had something. Oh, I know what was wrong with mine. And it was not the library's fault. So guys, don't worry. But I know why I got rid of it. I enjoyed using it, actually. It was really fun to use. But my particular unit would not hold the charge. You know, Melissa, when you like plug it in to like charge it, for some reason my unit would never hold the charge. So it became too difficult to use because of that. I remember that now. Mm-hmm.
Mine's still thankfully holding a charge. Like if I check the battery here.
Power. Battery charge remaining 13 hours. Battery powered. Press this power button to turn the player off. Press the power button again to turn the player back on. If the player is running on battery and not playing a book, it will automatically turn off after 30 minutes to preserve battery power.
And when I go to turn it off, I feel for the wheel, P, left. I feel the button, off.
Power. Battery charged player off.
And that gives you an audio cue that says, hey, turning off now.
Here, why don't you play no, actually don't do that. That might be there might be an issue. There might be That might get us into some
Copyright.
trouble. I was gonna say try to
Copyright.
play a little bit of a book, but no, actually, I don't think I'm allowed to do it. Would probably be okay, but no, let's not risk that.
Yeah.
Melissa, I
Good
think that's a
idea.
great use of the technology. So what are some books that you have basically rented from NLS for that machine? What do you
It
usually like to
wasn't.
read?
It wasn't money. It was a gift from Division of Blind for Christmas. The device as well as the books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they come in um, white cartridges. Sorry, grabbing a ton of books here. They just keep on coming. My
Okay.
favorite has to
Oh,
be.
but if you're blind and you need to listen to a book, just send Melissa Dewhurst a message because she has all the books.
And the coolest part, it has both print and braille on here. If I
Right.
want to, I can get close and see the large print.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just want to set it down, I can just do the braille. And
Right.
I'm through braille right now, and it says Queen of Trailing, and the braille stops. And I'm not gonna say the artist, but for just in case if he doesn't want me exposing the artist. But the book is
Yeah.
called
No.
Queen
No.
of Trailing.
Right. Right.
And what you do, there's a finger hole at the far back, and you face that finger hole in front of you, slide it braille and print side upward towards where the play the green play square button is. Slide it in and you'll hear a click, and it just went in. And when you turn it on now,
Player on.
The Queen of the Tearling, Volume
Okay.
1.
Current
Yeah.
position. Player off.
So then it would. Right. Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. Let's not have any more audio from that machine there. But yeah, that's good. That's a really good you're really illustrating the power of that machine. So a blind person could, get these books and then listen. And I forget, are the books free?
if you're signed up with Division of Blind, but if you're not, you can go to your National Library for the Blind if you have one in your city and say, hey, I'm visually impaired, and just basically register, sign up.
Right, right. And Melissa, why don't you tell our listeners more about why is this service good for blind people? Why is this a valuable service?
Well, for me, being legally blind, it avoids eye strain.
Right.
But if you're fully blind, reading books is annoying because you can't see a thing. And so the NLS here helps you to hear a book rather than going, what book is this? What shape is this book? And you can just take a cartridge, put it into your NLS player, and it'll tell you the title of the artist and go on and read the story.
Mm-hmm.
You can put headphones on, but I don't know where the headphone jack is on here. It's somewhere on the device, but it's there. The headphone jack is there. I just need to find it. It's so tiny. And also it's great for people that have low vision. They can see the shapes and colors.
Right. Yeah. So it's a very colorful machine, so you can easily see, what you're doing there. Right. Mm-hmm.
And the shapes. Plus, it's all tactile too. So if you're totally blind, there's braille on here. There's, shaped buttons that you can feel. Like you can feel where the play button is, which is in the middle. To the left is rewind. To the right is fast forward. And you'll feel that with your fingers, the shape of the buttons, as well as the
Mm.
braille on the device too.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that's excellent. And the point that I was looking for, the point, well, not necessarily looking for one way or the other, but the point that I would make though about this whole thing is that if you're blind, and so many people around the world who are blind or maybe have a hard time with with their job or their work, I think this device is free, so you're able to listen to books for free. And that's
That's
that's a
cool.
really right, and that's a really valuable point to make. That if you do not want to spend money on Audible, you can get books on this device too. And mine was good, but I remember why I got rid of it. I remember I sent it back because that particular battery never held the charge, so it basically failed. But it was a good idea at the time. Yes.
Is there a way to replace the battery? Like a fix or a repair, they might be able to do that. If you call them up
I
and say, "Hey, I have a problem. Can I have this fixed?"
Well, in my particular case, I think I just gave it back. I mean, it was years, and I don't remember. It was years and years and years ago. So I don't really remember what I ever ended up doing with it. Um, but it was many years ago, and I forget what was done at the time. Yes. hmm
But I
Um,
also want to show you something
yeah,
that's
sure,
pretty
sure.
cool.
Show
My
us.
laptop, my laptop. If you're low vision, you can use a combination. If you're legally blind like me, you can use a combination of magnifier, which is Windows and the plus sign, Windows icon and plus, and it made it bigger. Now I'm going to read. I have the high ground Star Wars song on YouTube, and to get out of the magnifier, Windows escape, and it took me out. But if you can't see at all, there's narrator, and you do that by Control Windows and Enter.
Mouse mode on. I have a high ground. Star Wars 1. I have a high ground. Star Wars song. YouTube video player. Space.
And it tells you where you're going, either by your cursor or your finger.
Good. That's
And
ex- that's excellent. Yeah. hmm
me, I use a little bit of both with my super low vision,
Finger.
and the same keys for turning it off. The Control Windows Enter for turning it on and off. For Windows 10, I have Windows 10, and this is a great feature. There's a large print feature, but I don't really like that because it obligates everything, makes it wonky, as in things get too big for my own liking, and it's just a straining mess, and if you're low vision like me.
Right, right, and you should never strain.
Yeah, but if you're totally blind, narrator is mega awesome on here. A little bit of lag, depending on whether or not you're using the finger or your cursor, your mouse cursor. I colored my cursor black to be able to
Mm,
identify it against the white, backgrounds of the internet. Because before I did this trick, I would always lose my cursor, and I
right,
would be
yeah.
looking around, and I'd be like, help, and then I decided, okay, I gotta fix this, and I went to accessibility. But on here, it's called ease of access. You go to Windows, the gear icon, which is above the power button, and you go to ease of access, system, network, and internet accounts, and under that, ease of access, click, and you'll have a choice of display, cursor and pointer, which is basically the size of the cursor and pointer in color, magnifier, which makes things bigger, color filters, which is basically inverting stuff, basically different colors, high contrast, which is like If you can't do white with black text, you can do black with white text, which is what that is. And then finally narrator. Um, and this you can choose, you can program it to your liking. Um, which is pretty neat. And I have Microsoft David, English, US, I think that
Mm-hmm.
says. Um, and you can program it because there's little checkboxes here that tell you what narrator would do. And you can program it with these little checkboxes. Like I have it set to hear letters and numbers and punctuations and as I type, hear words as I type, hear functional keys, hear arrow, tab, and blah 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 keys.
Right.
Um, and here when toggle keys like caps and numlock are turned on or off. And I also have selected here shift all, and all the other major keys. I have all of that selected. And I also have here hints on how to interact with buttons selected. Here narrator announce one actually can't be performed selected. And you need that on obviously. Or you're not gonna know why is it not working. Um, and here audio cues when you perform actions, that's also turned on as well. But I turn it on with the easy. I turn it on with the control. I turn it on with the control key. The control key. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We can. Sure, sure.
Because you blind ones will really need to hear my voice because I know some of you can't see at all. But for those of you who can't see at all, it's control to the left, Windows, the Windows key to the right of Alt, and the Enter key, which is above the Shift. Hit them at the same time at once, as if you're on a brailler.
Mouse mode on.
Now it's on. And that's basically how you do it if you have Windows 10.
Excellent. Really good. So, listeners, if you're blind and you have questions about all of this great knowledge that Melissa is giving us today, I really want some audience participation here. I really want you to interact. Whatever platform you're watching this on, just comment below, send in an audio message. And if I do not know the answer,
Or
I
add
am,
him on Skype. Or
or
add him on or add him on Skype.
or or just comment below. Um, yeah, because I don't want I prefer it people. I cannot have people just reaching out to me on Skype. That can get out of control. But
Oh, sorry.
no worries, no worries. So yeah, so I mean this show is a public product. So what you can do is you can comment below in the public on a public basically forum, whether it's an audio message, a comment on the video, you can comment below. And then if I liked what you said, then I would get back to you about it. But good, Melissa. So, would you like to share with our listeners, and you certainly do not have to, but would you like to share with our listeners, more about, other things that you do in your life right now, maybe what your goals are, what's really, going on?
My goals, and this really gets me angry. It's independence, doing things by yourself.
Yeah.
And I get kind of annoyed because my family will be like, no, let me help you, let me do this. And I'll be like, I can do it.
Right.
Like, have you ever had that, any of you, your parents or whoever, over helping you too much and
So
it gets
let's
annoying?
so let's ask. So audience, are you dealing with that at home with parents that are truly well sometimes, and I am Not saying I am not saying that
overprotective.
I am not saying that this is or is not your situation, Melissa. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you're we're basic at this point. We just met 30 minutes ago on this call. You know,
True.
I don't know you at all. I will say that there are cases where it goes both ways. Parents are overly protective at times. Other times, parents and people simply mean well, and they don't mean to be overly helpful. So it kind of goes back and forth, and it kind of goes both ways. So
My parents kind of make the mistake, and they kind of probably don't mean it, but they know that, hey, our daughter is visually impaired, and she's legally blind, so she can't see enough to do this or that. Um, like, I cook in the house. Yes, I'm cooking. Um,
good.
Listeners, if you're cooking, be mega careful. I recommend a stove with accessibility. I don't have this, but I don't know if it exists or not.
Well, listeners, I'm sure you out there have that. Um, oh, Melissa. Oh, what is it called? There's an email list that I'm on for cooking. Um,
Uh,
what is it called?
access accessibility something.
Yeah.
But it's where it'd be cool if your technology, like the thermostat, talks to you, because I always
No, it
struggle to read
does.
the thermostat.
Hey, look, guys, please, can you please help Aaron show today, guys? I know that one of you who knows about this is out there listening to the show, okay? My analytics says that 81% of you, about 80% of you are from the United States right now. Okay, guys? I know that you're out there, so please, 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 please reply to this show and just help Melissa, help our blind world out today to tell us about that. I know that it exists. I don't know what it's called, Melissa, but I'm 100% sure that someone in the audience knows about it and can get back to us by basically replying to the show and providing us with more general information. Oh, rats, rats, rats. What is the list that I'm on now? Oh, when we're off the air, Melissa, I'll try to get back to you. There's some list that I'm on that says about, it's all about, like, it's weird. It's like not like cooking for blind, but it's like accessible kitchen product. It's really strange. It's a list that just
Weird.
talks. It's something like that. Yeah, there's some weird list that I'm on. Oh man.
Accessible appliances or something.
Let's talk off the air. Let's talk when we are not recording the show, and I'll explain to you what to do. I have a solution for it, but I'm not going to talk about it on the show live on the air. It's not safe. But there's a solution, so I'll just let you know later. But yeah, there is a list for that, and then you would be able to post in that list, and then they would definitely get back to you about the answer for exactly the product that you need and exactly the brand and the model. But I think that these days, I think that all products should be made with some level of accessibility in mind. I think that's really, really important. Hmm.
Yeah. This way you can do the laundry, do the dishes, vacuum.
Right, right, yeah. So okay, so you want to be independent. What are things that you want to do if you had the chance, if you when you get your opportunity to be independent? What do you want to do?
Get back on the boiler, as well as, go places without too much, you know, you know, interference from a parent going, "Oh, that's over there. What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "Trying to walk here." Um, and I also want to be able to, just help kids, go to find a way to help legally blind kids that are like me or blinder. Because I want to pass on what I have learned to them. Because I think that might be a pretty neat job someday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that was one of the main reasons why I opened the show, is that I think that blind people in America, and really blind people anywhere, um, really need some good information out there. And I think that a lot of the information and resources that are for blind people in America, although most of them are very good and very well intended, I think that blind people in our country really need to kind of kick it up a notch and really need to get into the 21st century, you know.
I don't know if you ever heard, but there's something new that's came out called the Smart Brailler. I saw it on YouTube.
Hmm.
It's like a
Well,
brailler that it's like a brailler that has a screen, and whatever you braille, it tells you, kind of like how a screen reader does. Only the difference is you're brailing it on paper rather than on a physical screen. Although there's a screen to help low vision people out,
mm-hmm.
but for those that are totally blind, it'll talk to them. And like I'll find it here.
Yeah, show us that. This I've never seen before.
And there's a video. The video is called Perkins Smart Brailler Overview on
Huh.
YouTube.
Okay, let's push pause on Melissa, please push pause. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we got to be careful about that issue. We don't have permission from other people to play other. You just have to be careful about not playing someone else's material. But that's a really good resource. I want to learn more about that. Melissa, if you could send me that video after the show, that would be good, because that's a video I want to learn. I need to learn more about that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The YouTube channel is Perkins School for the Blind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, good. If you can send me that after the show,
I'll make
I.
sure to do that on Messenger.
Oh, okay. And any way you want, you can send me that video, and then that would be a good way for me to learn more about that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they are inventing all of these new forms of technology. I'm glad that it's growing. I just hope that it's really improving. Because a lot of technology, just because they
Advancing.
produce, right, and advancing. And Melissa, just because you invent a new piece of technology or something else, you know, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's always the best thing. You know,
Because
you
I
know, just.
watched this video. Because I watched this
Hmm.
video. The video we described, I actually physically watched, and it was actually pretty neat how you go, you
Hmm.
know, imagine me brailing my name. It would go Melissa as you're brailing.
Hmm.
It'll braille it out at the same time like a traditional brailer would
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm.
Any watchers slash listeners, check that out. That's pretty cool. It's called Perkins Smart Brailer Overview on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, they will certainly take a look at that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. Good. Mm-hmm. So you want more independence, and you want to help other blind people. What are some other goals or dreams that you have?
To fit in with my fandoms, I've already accomplished that because I told my fandoms that I'm legally blind, visually impaired, and like the Star Wars fandom I'm in on the Rebel Armory. Um, it's a forum,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm basically getting a lightsaber prop soon,
Hmm.
and they're gonna incorporate some accessibility into my lightsaber, like light up buttons, and it'll, be accessible. Like I designed the design of the hilt to my accessibility, to my vision. If any of you have seen Star Wars, um, you'll know what a lightsaber is. It's
Right.
basically a silver colored flashlight shaped hilt with a emitter on it that has a shroud that protects your thumb and fingers. Because I've seen Star Wars from episode one, Phantom Menace, all the way through to Return of the Jedi, episode 8, and now the newer ones like episode 9, The Force Awakens, episode 8, The Force Awakens, episode 9, The Last Jedi, and now, the newest one is episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I've seen that, and it's pretty awesome. To avoid any spoilers, it's pretty awesome. Check it out. It's called RISE space OF space SKYWALKER. Whatever movie platform you're using, Netflix, Disney Plus, check it out. And I have Disney Plus. I watch it on there. But about independence, I also want to be able to read without pain. I get strain aches. Who here that
Right.
is low vision gets strain aches? Because I know me and Aaron probably do.
Well, but I mean, if I want to read a book, I just go to Audible. So I use audible.com to do my reading.
I kind of have to do it the painful way sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it kind of hurts to get close and glare at the book. Like I have some Star Wars novels,
Mm-hmm.
like a book titled, Star Wars: The Jedi Path, and the font on there is hard to read. It's a blue with a Jedi lightsaber insignia with wings on the side, and it says The Jedi Path, a manual for students of the Force. And when I open it up, it's pretty hard to read unless I get super close, literally burying my face to the book, like 1 inch away. That's really close.
Yeah.
That's how close I get. And that kind of causes a headache. I actually got dizzy one time trying to read a book from straining alone, and I was like, holding my forehead with my left hand. Don't feel so good. And yeah. So I
Yeah.
got back in. So I rediscovered Braille. I learned it in school. The English Braille. And ever since making my own little Braille book, reading is less painful because I can channel it through my fingers rather than through the low vision right eye.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, guys. I mean, I think that Audible is really good for reading books. You have all sorts of audio titles from all over the world. So if you're able to access audible.com, I think it's a really good resource. Mm-hmm.
If I probably can't afford it, but I bet some of you guys can. Sign up, pay for it, download it. Those of you who can afford it, because I know I can't.
They do have there's a lot of plans with it. I do understand. There's a lot of different plans. And the way that I use it now is I just buy books as I go along. If I want to read a book, I just buy it. If I don't want to read that month, I don't buy books. So it just kind of comes and goes. Sometimes I use the service, sometimes I do not. Mm-hmm.
I also tend to make my own books because one of them more accessible. They're not for sale though, but I made my own little braille book, for example, and I was able to read that way, and it was little to no pain.
That's interesting. Tell our listeners more how you made your own book.
I'm not gonna do it here because I don't want to hurt myself.
Okay.
Because there's a risk of hurting yourself if you try this. Especially get a sighted friend to help you punch braille like this if you do it this way. Because what I do is I get close, draw out the shape of the braille cell in a number of times for the word I need, and I will take a sharp tack, a literal sharp tack, a tiny sharp tack, which is a pointy on the end, and very carefully, with without praying that I don't hurt myself, and I punch out manually each letter dot by dot in the cell that I drew. And you have to do this backwards when you do this, when you punch braille. Yeah, you have to do this backwards. Like, for example, A is regularly dot one, but so backwards when you punch it, it's dot four. And the shift in braille is dot six, but backwards it's dot three when you punch it.
It's not really backwards. Well, what you're talking about is you used a slate and stylus.
Pretty much.
Well, that's what it was.
Because I don't like this method, to be honest. Because it's a risk of hurting yourself, and especially if you're totally blind, it's a risk of hurting yourself. That's why I don't like this method. I prefer the brailler, because it's easy, just type it out on the cell like that. But you have to type it very carefully, like very gently, because you have to type certain keys together on the brailler.
Good, yeah. And how did you learn to use the slate and stylus, by the way?
It's mega easy. All you do is you just slide the paper in the thing. And
right. So usually blind people have to be taught though how to use that. How did you learn how to use that technology?
well, I learned to punch on my own, and I just basically taught myself how to punch. But the brailler I learned in school. The machine Perkins brailler I learned in school.
Good, excellent.
And
So let's talk a little bit more about school. So yeah, so can you tell our listeners, did you go to a mainstream school or did you go to a school for the blind?
I went to a mainstream, but they had a special ed section in the school. Like, there was a certain class for kids with disabilities, blind kids included, and I would have people in the class that were deaf, that were blind, that were autistic, in a wheelchair, had a tracheostomy. If you guys know what a tracheostomy is, it's a breathing tube in the middle of your neck. Your neck is cut open, by the way, though. And a tube is inserted in the center in your trachea. And I had some kids that had a trach, some kids that were autistic, some kids that were blind, some kids that were deaf, some kids that were in a wheelchair, or just all around autistic. And I even met a kid who used the cane like I did, and I was like, and I would be walking and I would hear our canes clack, and I would be like, hi, who's there? And the kid would be like, saying his name, who are you? Where are you? And I'd be like, I'm to the left of you, your left. My name is Melissa, what's up? I used a cane too, and we would make friends. I'm not going to say his name here, but we became good friends because we understood each other. Although he was more blinder than me,
Okay.
to the point where he couldn't wear glasses, but I was wearing glasses.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he we actually became good friends. And about the class, my teacher would either use a magnifier or my vision teacher would whip out this big brailler, and I'd be like, whipping out brailler in front of me to her, and I'd be like, what is this? That's when I didn't know what it was. I know it's a brailler now, but back then I was like, what is this thing? And she said how it was a typewriter style braille writer, and she taught me to think of it as a typewriter, only with typing certain keys at the same time. Like
Right, but
for example,
it was a Perkins Brailler, right?
yeah, I couldn't
I
read
see.
what it was, but I couldn't read what it said, but it was embossed, and I ran my finger over it, and I felt PERK, blah blah blah. Yeah, and I was like, oh, who the heck are Perkins? And she said, they make braillers. Let's focus on what we're gonna do today. And she taught me how to operate it. And basically, what you do, you have to turn the knobs away from your body together, and there's little levers you have to pull up those little levers, take the piece of paper. You have to set margins though before you do that. But once your margins are set, you just scroll the wheels away from your body, lift up a little lever. There's like two of them on each side. I couldn't see what they looked like. They were so tiny, but I could feel them. And she guided me on how to put the paper, and you put the paper on straight, not wrinkled, otherwise it won't go through. Straight, clean, no wrinkles, and then you clamp it down with the little levers, and then once it's all lined up, of course, then you clamp it down and roll the rollers towards your body until
Mm-hmm.
you can't roll anymore, and you'll notice the paper won't move anymore, and you'll feel the paper, not roll anymore. Because it has a limit of how far it can roll once it doesn't detect the paper. Um, and then you go one line down, or however many lines down you want, and then you will whatever the heck you want. Me, it
Or
was my name. Me, it was flat out Melissa Dewhurst. And I was afraid whether or not the braille Dewhurst or not, because it's really long. Dewhurst, that feels pretty long. And I was like, insert my teacher's name here, Miss blah blah blah. It's not gonna fit. It's not gonna fit. Dewhurst is too long. And she's like, Melissa, just go one line down. Where's the line down key? And I felt for it, and I'm like, oh, line down. That solves that problem. And
or new line. You have to make a maybe you have to put your last name on a fresh line, a new line.
yeah, she told me she calls it a new line, and I called it lying down as a kid. Um,
I see. Yeah, yeah. Probably I would have called it something else. Right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kidified
Yes.
gibberish. Oh, this is a Browning typewriter. Yippee! I know it's a brailler now,
Mm-hmm.
26 years later.
Right.
Um, I kind of miss using that thing.
I
Hope
kind of don't.
somebody hope somebody would do a brailler giveaway in the group sometime. That'd be kind of neat. I don't have to
Okay.
worry about I won't have to worry about punching too much, as
You
punching
won't
is
have.
kind of a
Okay, you won't have to worry about using your slate and stylus if someone in our group where we met on in social media, you wish that they would just do a Perkins Braille Writer giveaway, right?
yeah, that'd be kind of neat.
Well, you should say that in the group and see if you can create a post and see if you can get some traction there.
Cause,
Yeah.
cause I did it. Cause I did this with the Star Wars community. It wasn't a brailler though. It was for a lightsaber. And I did this in the Star Wars community. Um, I did this in the Star Wars section of the social media site,
Hmm.
and I went to the Star Wars pages and I said, "Anybody doing a lightsaber giveaway?" Question mark. Post. And people were like, "Well, listen, you gotta pay for it. You gotta save up some money." And somebody, I'm not gonna disclose their name here for
Yeah,
Aaron's sake, but somebody in the Star Wars lightsaber community, which is what we call it, lightsaber community. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know what that means. It's basically a community where you talk lightsaber talk. Like you learn about companies like we have Saber Forge, Saberforge, and they make lightsabers. But somebody else, not from Saber Forge, reached out to me, and they were like, "Melissa, that's not fair of them to do that to you. You deserve a lightsaber." Let's cheer her up. My lightsaber's currently in the works right now. I'm waiting on a soundboard for it. But anyway, they reached out to me. "Hey Mel, you deserve a lightsaber. People shouldn't be treating you like that. Making you pay like that, that's mean. That's the path to the dark side. You deserve a lightsaber."
I
Um,
see. I see. It sounds like you're really into this. So tell us, yeah, is it possible to like get to get what color light you can want? Like how do they decide what light you deserve or what light you're allowed to have?
saber, lightsaber,
Yeah,
or
but the
the
light the
or the
light
blade,
part,
the
each
blade.
saber each saber had a different color. The laser, the burning laser in the films had a different color based on your skill set, is what it was. Different levels of knights and soldiers in the army were allowed to carry
Um,
different levels, different qualities of saber. And some of the sabers had different levels of light. That would be
but
more.
but for blind fans, people in the saber community should be aware of to design the hilt for a blind person. This way they can feel the switches, feel the emitter, have a guard to protect their hands. Even though it's not really gonna burn you though, but just for fun, have a guard. Um,
Right.
Because if you guys know me, if you guys are in the Star Wars lightsaber community, which I'm in one of them on the social media, as well as the online forum, they I made a lightsaber to my vision impairment specifications for myself. Like the hilt has a guard, a circle guard where the emitter is, which prevents your hands from going to where the blade is. If it were real. But
Right.
I, yeah. And my hilt's gonna be brown, gray, and the blade you can switch to all different colors. I'm getting a NeoPixel smooth swing saber, NeoPixel blade, which is a blade with string LED lights through the blade, and that gives it the ability to shine really brightly, as well as ignite and deactivate like a real saber would from the movies.
I see, and how it would make the humming sound. And is there like an audio thing that makes it?
For
Yeah, the hum.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be able to hear. You guys will be able to hear when you ignite it, vrr, 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 which I'm getting from my saber. I'm gonna be able to hear, vrr, 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 tss, the typical lightsaber jizz.
Yeah, the hum. Yeah, the hum, which was supposed in the movie, it was supposed to be the energy, the power of the force, is what was supposedly making that sound. Yes.
Oh, because I thought it was of the plasma laser like blade.
Or that. Okay, stand corrected. It was the plasma making the sound. Okay, I see. I see. Well, that's really interesting. Okay, so it sounds like you ordered this saber, and then what's the next step? Then they have to make it. They have to custom make it
There,
for you, and then send it back. How does that work?
there, it wasn't ordered. It was actually a gift. They ordered everything for me because they know I can't afford too much right now with my family situation. But they were able to help me, and they're currently in the process of putting the hilt together getting the soundboard ready to go. As they're still kind of figuring out the soundboard, I'm getting a up to date soundboard. It's a if anybody in the saber community is blind listening to this, there's a soundboard called Golden Harvest.
Wow.
GOLDEN space HARVEST Golden Harvest soundboard, and I'm getting the newest installment. From a soundboard point of view, like I'm gonna get smooth swing. Smooth swing basically means like it'll function as if it was a real saber. Like every little swing you do, it'll do that trademark rrr, rrr, like you get from the movies.
That's really cool. So how did you develop this interest, this advanced interest that you have in lightsabers and Star Wars?
I watched it with my father because he's a big Star Wars fan.
Okay, so that's good. Well that's good. So you know what I think you can say, and I think this is fair. So you can say that although earlier in the show you said that your parents might be overly protective, and that might be true, Melissa. You're right. That might be the case. But it
But I
sounds like they
still love
also
him.
right, and it sounds like you also share some common interest with them in the Star Wars field there. So that's also good. You know.
Dad, dad more, dad more than mom.
Yeah.
Although
Well,
mom,
I think Star Wars
most
was
men.
something. Star Wars was the type of film that was probably more attractive to men because simply I think there were just more men characters and more famous actors in that movie who were
Both,
men, right?
both, yeah, both Jedi and Sith were all male. Like you had Darth Sidious, who was Emperor Palpatine. He's the Dark Lord of the Sith with a black,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And if you hear, give yourself to the dark side, that's Emperor Palpatine. I know his lines. If you hear, give yourself to the dark side, that's Emperor Chief Palpatine / Darth Sidious.
Right.
Darth Sidious.
This is great. This is great, Melissa. I'm glad that you're so into it. Yeah, you should research on your phone there. You should try to find a Star Wars podcast. I can find one for you after the show if you want, but I'm sure there's a lot of Star Wars podcasts that you can listen to. Do you listen to any Star Wars podcasts?
Some, but not much. I'm not gonna say names, for privacy's sake.
Yeah, don't.
Um, but I prefer videos that have pictures as well as sound, because I can make it bigger on YouTube by just pressing the letter F on the keyboard, and it goes immediately to full screen.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, and escape for back to normal. On YouTube, the escape key at the far left for back to normal, and the F is beside the D. If you want to go full screen, just hit F, and we're just to the right of the D on your keyboard when you're watching a YouTube video.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I learned these hotkeys in school. Like my vision teacher taught me how to use a laptop with accessibility. And when she
Excellent.
brought in,
And I think
and
I think that's another important topic to talk about today. So tell us more about your vision teacher, your teacher of the visually impaired. Remember, do not say their name, but whoever it was out there, do you think they were like a real TVI with who was truly qualified and who knew Braille? What do you think?
I feel like she taught me everything I needed to know because I had a woman growing up. I had her from pre-K all the way through to high school graduation.
Okay.
Um, and I would call her Mrs. and her name, or Miss and her name, either or. And in middle school, she brought up her laptop, and I heard it talking, and I was like, huh? What the? And I stopped at the, all confused. And she taught me, and she brought up a program called Type to Learn. And
Hmm.
I was like, wait, what? And I could barely see her screen until I got very close to it. But she taught me how to position my hands. They call it the home row keys.
Home
Um,
row. Yeah.
yeah,
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 I type from home row. Like I put my fingers where they're supposed to go and then type like that.
yeah,
A lot of people my age though never learned how to type somehow, even if they're sighted. So they just do the hunt and peck thing. That's very common. Mhm.
yeah. My family does the chicken pecking on the keys.
Yeah, it takes so
And I'm
long.
over
I
here.
never
And
understood that.
I'm over here, blah 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 on the home row.
Right. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had
Mhm.
lessons, and my teacher taught me, and I would be glaring at her keyboard, and she'd be like pushing on my body. No, 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 Melissa, sit up, sit up, sit up, sit up. I'm like, I can't see, Mrs. Blah blah blah. I can't see. And she's like, that's okay, Melissa, calm down, breathe, that's okay. And she would pat my shoulder. And it was worse when I lost my glasses from my high school accident. Because in high school, I couldn't go on a computer because I couldn't see at all. I was blinded. I'm literally go blind without my
Mhm.
glasses.
Right.
And when she did that, I had glasses during this though. When she did that, she kept pushing me away from getting too close, and I was like, "What are you doing?
Mhm.
I want to be able to see." And she's like, "No, Melissa, you have to sit straight. You don't want to hurt your back." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, but how am I supposed to see the freaking?" And she cut me off with, there's something called a, you'll hear it talk to you. Just listen closely. I'll turn it up." And she turned it up because she had a screen reader on. Um,
Mhm.
and I would be making all kinds of mistakes, typing all weird letters, and I'd be like, and she'd be like, "Melissa, this is okay. This is the first step." And
Mhm.
I'd be like, "Okay." I was a teenager at this point, mainstream middle school, and,
Mhm.
I'll be like having a headache after this, after trying to glare so much. This is so hard, and I would throw a fit, slamming my fist into the table, like it's so hard to see. And she'd be like, "Melissa, breathe, calm down. You can't see too well, but that doesn't mean you can't still do things."
Right.
How am
Right.
I supposed to freaking do it then? And she said, and she guided me through the process. I know to find another way now, but back then I was all, how the heck am I supposed to do this? I bet we all been there, done that. Have you guys ever felt that sensation of, I can't see, how am I supposed to do this? I felt it.
What do you think? What do you think out there? Have you felt that idea of just sort of not being feeling confused and never really understanding how to do something in a non-visual context, I think. And that's something that's very, very important to learn how to do. How to do things in a non-visual way. Hmm.
A non-visual manner.
Right. A non-visual context or in a non-visual way. Exactly right. Exactly.
And
And was yes, yes.
that's where the homo keys came in, because that's why she taught me the homo keys,
Right,
for that very
exactly.
reason.
Hmm.
And when I would type, I would hear FJK blah blah blah, like,
Hmm.
and I'd be like, "Oh, your laptop talks?" And she'd be like, "Yes," and she turned it up so I could hear it. And or sometimes she'll provide headphones, but most of the time she had the speakers on. Um, well, with a lesson, you can't really wear your headphones. So, because they have to hear it as well as you. Although she
Right.
was sighted. She was sighted though, and the cane was more creepy. When I first got my white cane, I was like, why the heck do I need this? I can walk. Like, I'm weak on the legs, but not enough to require a cane. I didn't know
Right.
what kind of cane. I didn't know what kind of cane it was back then. I thought it was just a stability, stable walking assist cane.
Mm-hmm.
And but she was like, no, Melissa, it's not that. She redirects my left hand over hand, because I'm a lefty.
Uh-huh.
And she redirects me to the scanning position that I do now, the left to right scanning. And she says, this is good for emergencies. If you're in a big place, they'll see you and move. And I'm like, what's the point of this? This is so weird. Why
You
do I
know,
need a cane for it?
the point to tell our listeners, the point, and it's an important topic to talk about, Melissa. The point of the cane, right? It
Yeah,
serves two things. It protects you when you're walking around because you can tell what's in your environment, but it also tells sighted people to be aware of the fact that you cannot see them.
it's basically an alert. I got that. It was very effective going to the store, because I went to a store in my area with my mom, and I went out with my cane, and I heard people walking by me to my left, and I heard, look out! And I was like, what the? Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I tried to be careful. And
Right,
my
and it
mom,
was, and it's the sighted person's fault. If someone bumps into you, it's the sighted person's fault most of the time. So,
they didn't bash into me. They were just probably warning somebody of me, probably.
ah,
Because I heard a loud, look out! And it was
right,
probably somebody warning their idiot of a sighted friend to move the heck over. There's a rich woman with her mom over here. Move. And
right.
I was gonna take my cane to the convention this year, but due to the
Mm,
coronavirus, I might not be able to go because everything is closing left and right. Events, um, certain places that are public
right.
are closing.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of major meetings have been canceled around the world. So, yeah. Hmm.
But if I could go to MegaCon this year, because I was planning to with my cousin, he's sighted, and my brother is also sighted as well. He still wears glasses because he has like astigmatism and minor vision impairment, but not as severe as, say, me. He's not legally blind like, say, I am.
Right,
Um, I also have the twitching of the eyes and the upper gaze called nystagmus, and I found a way around that. It's basically close your eyes, let it go through, open your eyes again, blink a few times, and you should be raring to go. You may not be able to see what you're looking at, but the eye moving exercise I try helps to stabilize the eyeball. I tried. It's an exercise I
right.
came up with. Plus, back to the cane. Um, my cane is sized for my height. Can I say my height on here? Because I'm pretty short, and my cane is sized for my height. I basically told my vision teacher that I was this height, this particular height, and the next thing I know, white cane. And I'm like, what is this for? And I now know what it is now, but back then I was like, why do I need this? I can walk. But now I know what its use and function and why I have it. I actually used to hate it,
Right.
but now I've gone to, okay, it's a guiding device, no big deal. At least people will notice me and not be in my freaking way. um, because that's one big improvement with my cane is not getting hurt.
Exactly.
Uh, Like Aaron has said here, it prevents you from. It tells you where you're walking by the sound of what's in front of you. I can tell. I can tell a road from sidewalk by the different sound I'm hearing. I also use. I had O&M training in high school with said vision teacher when I received this cane as a gift from her. It was a gift from the state, and then it went through her. Then, hey Melissa, here, kind of deal. But I'll teach you how to use it. And she taught me. Anybody ever who's had O&M training will know that they teach you how to use your cane, how to swing, how wide to swing, what to scan for and stuff like that. Like my main challenge is the stairs, going up and down obstacles like stairs, a curve, or getting on the bus and back. Because originally when I would get on the school bus, I would beg for the wheelchair lift and get on that way. Because my bus had a wheelchair access in the back.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Even though it feels like cheating, I went for the wheelchair lift in school, even though I could stand. Because I could identify the wheelchair lift with my cane,
Right.
feel it coming down and down, and
Right.
I walk on, and the bus it would hold me steady and stable because it's an elevator type deal, and think of an elevator but exposed. If you ever felt or seen wheelchair lifts, school buses, they're pretty big to accommodate a wheelchair. But for me, I used it for easy accessibility in those days. That was my
Right.
accessibility in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Plus accessibility, everybody. If you can't do stairs, go on the ramp or wheelchair lift. And that's my preference, going up ramps in wheelchair ways, because it's easier access for me and I don't have to worry about, do I have to climb anything? Because there was a point where I went up and down stairs and nearly missed a step. Because one day I would forget to use my cane and go up without it, and suddenly not knowing what step is coming. Or I would be really slow and sluggish, like an
Right.
old person kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I would walk without my cane as if I'm 90 years old.
I
Um,
see.
but with it, I walk like a 20-something year old.
Right. Right. Well, good. So I think that these tools, especially the cane, and a lot of the tools you've been mentioning today are useful, and that blind people should not be ashamed to use them, and that blind people should not be afraid to use them, and that blind people should use these pieces of these tools. Hmm.
Like, don't be afraid to turn on accessibility mode. Don't be afraid to turn on voiceover, talkback narrator. Don't be afraid to turn that on if you can barely see, or
Right.
if you're totally blind.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Um, So, have you been to a national convention, a NFB national convention?
Megacon,
Well, no,
MEG,
no, 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 no,
and
no, 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 no. I'm asking you if you have ever been to a national convention of the National Federation of the Blind.
no.
Oh,
That'd be
okay.
cool to. If the coronavirus wasn't impacting us right now, I would go. If it was in my state, um,
Right.
but I have Division of the Blind in my state, DOB. Um, and I never been to any of their conventions, just getting their stuff. Pretty much. Just receiving
Right.
their supplies, not going to the conventions. But I never been to a national blind convention, if any.
I see. I've been to a couple of my state's affiliate conventions. I've been to a couple of the national conventions when I was younger. Um, They can be good. It depends on what you want to do. If there's activities that really interest you, especially if you have a friend who also wants to go, I think that could be a good activity to do with your friends.
Yeah, but I can't do that right now because of this virus going around. Um, they're closing all events, and probably the NFB one probably too.
I think, in my opinion, it would depend on the situation when we get to the summer. But it's possible that it could be closed, but I don't know. It depends on how quickly we solve this problem. But I know that
Yeah,
we will get through this, Melissa, as Americans. We'll get through it, and it's
yeah.
very frustrating and a little bit scary, but we'll get through these things as a country.
There's a lot of casualties though, and that's what scares me.
Well,
Um,
that is scary, yes, but many of those casualties are people who are very, very young or very, very, very old.
like toddlers, children.
Like a toddler, or a very, very, very old person in their 90s. It would be dangerous.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's interesting. I think it's very unfortunate. It's very scary, and it's also an interesting thing that's going on right now in society and in the world.
So
But it
if you
would.
guys, so if you guys are going out, I would also bring hand sanitizer and disinfect your canes, as well as your hands.
wouldn't
Um,
wouldn't be a bad idea. The main way, one of the ways that I'm a teacher, by the way. It's a bit of a long story, but one of my students is a doctor, and he was telling me that one of the best ways to protect yourself from this particular virus is to have very good hygiene skills and to do a lot of hand washing. This virus can easily be prevented if you wash your hands a lot. So that's what
I'm
one of my
obs-
students, who is a doctor, told me. So wash your
I'm
hands a lot.
obsessive. I'm obsessive with that.
Me too.
Currently, yeah.
Yeah, you
Um,
got to wash your hands a lot, guys. That's one of the main ways. And you know what else is useful is to just stay at home more. Don't go out into public places as often.
Even though
And
it's boring.
even
Um,
well, Melissa, life, that's a philosophical fact of life. I believe that life is boring.
yeah.
Hmm.
So if you want to hang out, just video call your friends, go on a
That's right.
hangout.
That's right, Melissa. There's a lot of ways that people can still have a conversation or meet up. We just have to do it over the internet now. Exactly.
Yeah, they're recommending go online and yeah.
Right. Right.
And
And it's not like knowing our generation, Melissa, it's not like that many other people were really all that hot to trot about going out anyway, because most people don't go out. So, what is everybody so upset about that fact for? Very, very, very few people go out now. So just, you know, just yeah, just spend more time meeting online for different events. And this virus will run out of gas eventually.
yeah, it'll eventually die down.
Right.
But can I also discuss with you guys
Of course.
strain strain headaches? Who here has
Yes.
had a strain headache? Because I know I have.
Wasn't there some guys? I don't know. I fortunately do not have that. That sounds awful, Melissa.
I have it
Mhm.
in the right side mainly because the right
Right.
eye in my case has to work extra hard. Plus
Hmm.
being low vision, plus having tunnel vision and being low vision makes it worse. And
Right.
more out. I always had pain reading books in school. So whenever my vision teacher came over, I would jump for joy, yippee! And she would have the brailler in her hand, and I'd be like, "Brailler, here I come, braille for me!" And I would run with my cane, and like, yo, I'm behind you, I'm ready to go. That's how happy I was when she came over in school,
Right.
because she would interrupt my classes on a weekly basis with certain things. Like whenever I'd be in like first period, she would come in, if not maybe fifth period or the last period of the school day, like seventh period, which is the last period of the classes. Most of the time it'll be first period before lunch or the last period of school before you go home for the day.
Right. Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I got. I got her coming at those times.
Mm-hmm.
Plus when I had that urgent emergency of bashing my face into the pole and losing my glasses,
Right.
she really whipped out the brailler. And I
Right.
was
Mm-hmm.
and I was even more scared because now I can't see the shapes of what I remember. But she was like, Melissa, you got hands, right? And I was like, duh. And she's like, feel the shapes. What do you feel? And
Mm-hmm.
I would feel the knob, and I'll be like, oh, there's the knob, there's the freaking braille marker, there's the freaking clamp for the
Right.
paper, there's the freaking keys.
Mm-hmm.
There's like
Right.
total of six,
Mm-hmm.
but the main typing keys are just six, or just like three on each end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would be scared. I was like nervous typing at this point because I couldn't see. And I was like shaking, and she would pat my shoulder, Melissa, it's okay.
Right.
And and I'd be like, teeth chattering, body shaking, hand tremors, all nervous, and
All over
yeah.
Braille too. You're this nervous about Braille? Jeez.
Well, because I lost my glasses with the accident. I lost my
Right. I
glasses with
know. I know. I'm making a point though. See, you shouldn't, guys. You shouldn't be afraid of things. Mm-hmm. Right.
have no fear. As Master Yoda from Star Wars says, do or do not. There is no try. And I say do.
Right. Exactly. Yes. 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 Exactly.
And that the
Mm-hmm.
Force will be with you and that it'll guide you. It'll guide your hands. It'll guide your cane. It'll guide your
I
legs.
suppose so. I suppose so. So maybe all blind people should try to get themselves one of these lightsabers so they can maybe have more strength or more force, I guess, in their
Bravery.
lives.
Bravery.
Yeah, but it might
The
be true.
Jedi encourage positivity,
Right.
bravery, and courage. The
Right,
Sith,
exactly.
the Sith, Sith, on the other hand, prefer anger, hate, hatred, going all crazy, killing people with their saber, and you don't want to turn to the dark side. That's all negative.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
I wonder I wonder if there are groups and communities of people who want to be Siths. I wonder if there's Sith pages.
Probably so. Like you
That
have the
would
501st, like you
that
have the
wouldn't
501st Legion.
th- that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, actually, if there were Sith
I don't
groups.
know. I don't know if you heard of this, guys, as well as you, Aaron. Guys, I don't know if you heard of this, but there's a legion called the 501st, 50RST Legion, Legean, and that's like a Sith-based dark side form or something. Because everybody dresses up in Darth Vader outfits, Stormtrooper outfits,
Mhm.
and that's like I don't want to join that. Um,
Right.
I would prefer the Rebel Legion, the
Ah,
REBAL Legion.
right, right.
Like, um, but if any of you are Star Wars fans watching slash listening, don't be afraid. The Force will be with you. And
There you go. There you go. Okay. Mm-hmm.
like Obi-Wan Kenobi says, this cane and these devices and accessibility is your life. Use it.
Hmm.
That's Obi-Wan Kenobi for you.
Uh-huh. Well, good. Good. Mm-hmm.
If you guys are wondering what Jedi inspired me the most, it has to be Luke, L,
Yeah.
capital L, U, C, capital L, and lowercase UKE Skywalker, Luke Skywalker.
Right. Right.
He inspired me to in a way feel the Force. Yoda too, but both
Yeah.
in a way inspired me to feel my surroundings, feel the
Mm-hmm.
Force.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right, but in the end, doesn't Luke become Darth Maul or Darth Vader?
no, he goes out as a true Jedi. He even becomes the Grand Master. I don't want to spoil what movie, but he becomes a Grand Master at one point. Starts his own school for his Jedi Order, because Order 66 happened, so a new Jedi Order is coming about.
Right.
Um, if you guys are familiar with Order 66, you know Palpatine's execute Order 66, and yeah. Um,
Right.
Anybody who's seen Revenge of the Sith, Revenge, OFSITH, will know of Palpatine's execute Order 66. Like he says
Yes.
66, like, yeah. But can I also bring up,
Of course.
if any of you are low vision and have strain headaches, I say if reading hurts you, use a screen reader, if not Braille. Magnifiers do help, but not all the time. Because I have a magnifier hanging off my computer desk and it's 5 times magnification, and it doesn't always help.
Mm-hmm.
So screen readers and Braille is the best bet if you want to go pain free.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not over here straining 1 inch away from your screen or paper.
Right. And I think what I was going to say, and then we got into the Star Wars thing again, is I think that there are Facebook groups for people who have headaches. Guys, there's Facebook groups for everything. And when I say everything, it's everything.
And there's even a Facebook group for Girl Talk. The you know what once a month, visually impaired ladies watching and listening. You will know what I mean. Um, so there's like groups like that, plus the visually impaired group that me and Aaron are in.
Right.
Like I have found about the group, I just want to say I'm glad I'm a part of this VIP community. I'm also part of people. There's also a VIP community on YouTube. Um, I don't want to say any YouTube channels too much, but there are people on YouTube that are legally
Yeah.
blind and visually impaired. Um, like you got people that have certain diseases, like retinitis pigmentosa, or just plain born too early. Like in my case, I was born really early, which caused the vision impairment. Because because I was born at a gestation where the everything's not fully there yet, like development wise. Like your lungs are not ready, your eyes are not ready.
Premature.
Yeah, premature.
Right.
I was a micro preemie,
Mm,
but I survived. Um,
I see.
I won't tell my birth rate on here, but I'll just say that I was a micro preemie, but survived. Um,
Mm,
but I also want to talk about legally blind and asthmatic.
sure.
Because I also have asthma and allergies. See,
Melissa, there's probably a group for that too.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
Anybody ever struggle to read their inhaler dials? Because I have an inhaler dial, and I have to get like real close to it, and I see 8%, and I'm really close to it, 1 inch from my face. And the owl, here it comes. Hear what I mean, guys? Like that's eye strain, owl. So I'm trying to read my inhaler dial.
Let me make a comment about that. I think that it's completely look. If you're buying a medical product or a shopping at a pharmacy, I think that the products need to be accessible. That's not right. If you're blind, or what if you're old, Melissa? What if you're super old and you have to take pills? A lot of old folk take pills. Some don't, but a lot do. And a lot of times when people get to that point in life, when they get to the winter of their life, when they get to the end game of their life, when they get that old, they usually start to become blind. Their things start to fail. So an issue that would seem like not even a big deal to us, like, oh, take some pills, to someone who is super old and cannot see well, that could be a really scary and a potentially dangerous situation. I think that
Yeah, you can.
pharmaceutical.
Yeah, you can overdose if you don't know how many pills you're taking.
Yeah, and let me just tell you that even if you're taking the pills right, when you get to be that old, I have heard of it from my relatives and other people in my family. When you get to be that old, those pills kind of affect you. There's some side effects that kind of make it harder for you to focus. So, my point is, it's really important that the pharmaceutical products are fully accessible to someone who's blind. There's no reason why they shouldn't be. There's every
Yeah,
reason why those products should be accessible. Hmm.
like like heck, put braille on allergy pills,
Right.
or make a speaking inhaler. Like
Mm,
click click click. Your medication percentage is this many number here percent
right.
remaining. Like that'd be kind of neat. For me, even though I'm young and legally blind,
Hmm.
um, I still can't read my inhaler. I know my medicine name by asking my doctor, "Hey doctor, what's my medicine's name um, of this particular inhaler?" And he would tell
Mm,
me, and I would go, "Oh." But I have to turn to my sighted brother or somebody that's sighted to say, "Hey, what does this say?"
hmm.
Yeah, and that's annoying. 'Cause that means me
Indeed.
having to. 'Cause that means me
Indeed.
having
Indeed.
to. That means
Uh,
me having to walk in their room, knock on their door. Hey, sorry to bother you, but I need your help. You know.
right. Right.
Yeah, and that would
Yes.
annoy them as much as me.
Seriously. Yeah, so that's a conversation that you should have with your pharmacist. In my opinion, you should approach your pharmacist and explain the situation and say, what products are on the market for someone who's blind who needs to take an inhaler. Your pharmacist, Melissa, should be knowledgeable about it, and your pharmacist should be willing to talk to you about it, because it's their job to provide you with the service of appropriate medication and pharmaceutical technology. So a pharmacist should be able to tell you more about the accessible medication than the doctor. The doctor, in my opinion, the doctor should diagnose the condition, and the pharmacist should facilitate the solution, or the solution to whatever type of asthma you have, or whatever particular medication you need to be on. But you should have that conversation with your pharmacist, and they should be
I'll make
willing to.
sure to.
d-
I'll make sure
d-
to bring my cane. I'll make sure to bring my cane to the pharmacy and be like, doc, extend my cane out, and I bet they'll be like, oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, and it's entirely possible that they are not even aware that you're blind. So you do need to make them aware, in my opinion. You need to make them aware of it, and I think they need to talk to you about it. And I think that a good pharmacist who's doing a good job should be able to talk to you in an informed, respectful, and educated way about the technology, about the pharmaceutical product that they're giving you. They really need to do that. Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it would avoid me having to beg for help all the time in ice stream. Because I
Well,
just
and
got, I just,
and you know
I just
what?
got the signs. I just got the
Right.
signs live
Right. Right.
for you all.
So, and let's say for instance, let's say they're talking to you about the product, right? And it turns out, well, okay, right now in the market, let's just say, for instance, let's say we don't really have what you're looking for, but here is all of the information I can give you about the product, so that the next time you use that product, you know everything about it, and that will be immensely, immensely helpful for you. So a pharmacist should be able to have that conversation. So if we have a pharmacist as one of our listeners, I want your opinion if you're a pharmacist out there. Um, is How do you feel about blind patients? Do you like to engage your customers? Are you willing to talk to customers about pharmaceutical products? I mean, good heavens, you went to school for 10 years. You took a
Yeah.
medical licensing. You swore an oath in your state. It's a commitment to basically protecting people's livelihood. So at very least, I would hope you would want to make some money by talking to a blind person so that you can take their money and sell them a product. And at most, I hope that you care for all of your patients. And you know what? 99% of the pharmacists do care about patients. That's why they spent the
Like,
time and energy to become a pharmacist.
yeah, come on. Like, isn't there inhalers that have
I mean, I'm
a back,
tempted. I
like,
mean, someone I know. I just, it's a long story. Um, this has nothing to do with the show. I mean, someone in my family is a pharmacist. I'm not going to ask her, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe if you came onto the show in the future and maybe had a conversation with your pharmacist and then you talked about it with me, and let's say, God, good heavens, let's say that the conversation that you had with your pharmacist was a negative one, I might be willing. It has nothing to do with you, but she has her own life, and we don't really talk much. It's a long story, but I might be willing to ask her, that question. That would be a fair question if I were to ask her one time, and she would know. Because I would be shocked, quite frankly. I would be shocked if there was not some sort of an accessible inhaler. Luckily I do not have asthma, but many, many, many people do. Literally tens of thousands. I, there's got to be something on the market, Melissa. But
yeah,
I would have to.
for visually impaired asthmatics out there, like me.
Right.
You guys could be blind and have asthma and not see your inhaler at all, and that's dangerous.
Right. It would be very dangerous for the customer. I completely agree with you. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. So um, I would be I would be shocked if there was not some sort of a product.
Right, that would break my heart if they didn't have any accessibility on inhalers, pill bottles, prescription pill bottles that have like braille
I mean,
or
I'm sure that there is. I'm sure that there's some sort of a website where you can get more. I'm sure that there is a website, and I'm sure that there are blind pharmacists, because blind people are work in every field. But I'm sure that there are blind people who work in the pharmaceutical field who would be able to aid you and guide you in the right direction. Yes. Hmm.
and when it comes to being legally blind, can I also discuss
Yes.
the meaning? Because a lot of sighted people, my family included, tend to get the term legally blind confused with totally blind, and legally blind, um, legally meaning by law, um, and it means that you're basically blind by law. Like your vision is
Right.
so severe that you're seen as blind by the state. That's what I'm classified as, legally
Right.
blind. And people online mainly tend to confuse legally blind. If you're legally blind, then how are you typing to me?
Yeah. That's a common one. Hmm.
And that really makes me mad. Like, hello, everyone of screen readers, duh.
Well, I understand why you're mad, and it's frustrating for us but we also have to be, sometimes we have to be kind and aware that sometimes other people do not have the same knowledge that we have. So although it's common sense to you and I and listeners of Aaron's show that of course there's screen readers, well maybe someone somewhere else simply does not have that knowledge. So I agree with you, but it is quite common for people to be confused how well blind people can access the world. This is quite a common issue. Yes.
Yeah, they have to. I would just say to the sighted people that don't get it, um, technology has advanced over the years, and now we
Hmm.
got things like voiceover for iPhone,
Right.
talkback for Android,
Right.
voice view for tablet,
Hmm.
and narrator for laptop.
Right.
And I also want to talk about
Talk
gaming.
about it.
I also want to talk about accessible gaming because me, I used to play games as a kid, and this
Oh,
was a big issue for me as a kid.
yeah.
I had to have my brother or somebody sighted guide me through the game.
Hmm.
I would play Spider-Man Edge of Time, and I would be you're in Alchemax, Alchemax. That's capital A, lowercase Lchemax,
Oh,
and it's
I remember when I wrote that word growing up, I would always make all the letters lowercase except for the X. I had to think about that. I always capitalized the X.
yeah. But in
I'm kidding.
Spider-Man it's capital, but in but in Spider-Man it's capital A, then lowercase Lchemax.
Okay.
Because in Spider-Man Edge of Time, you're in this place all throughout the game,
Yeah.
and finding what lab I'm in is so challenging. There'd be
Mm.
signs up, and I would be like, is this the genetics lab? Is this the shadow division? Is this the lab here? Like, what lab is this? And I would be so
Right.
confused. And especially with playing any game, I would be like, when I played games that involved shooting, like Call of Duty with my brother, I would be like,
Right.
where's the enemy? And my brother would guide
Mm.
me. Your enemy is to the left. Keep going, shoot. And I would shoot. And that was in the us growing up. But I don't know about now. But would there be any accessible games? Because now there's a game out there, an online RPG game called Star Wars: The Old Republic. Um, it's called Star Wars: The
Yeah.
Old
Got it. Yeah.
O
Yeah.
L
Got it.
O
Got
L
it. Got it.
D Republic, and I didn't know of any accessibility on there, so I didn't download it and play it because
Right.
I didn't know if there's any accessibility on games. Jedi Fallen Order has accessibility from magnification to large print. I don't know if the same is true for Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Right.
My main issue is screen reading on games. I want to know where I'm going.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, are you there? Are you on RS Games?
No, I don't play any games due to this problem.
Oh, well, after the show, let me send you the solution to this problem. There is a website that is completely accessible for you. So, yes, you'll find it very very entertaining, and I sometimes go on there. So let me send it to you after the show later today. And then yeah, and then you can try to get on that. But yeah, there's a lot of information about accessible gaming for blind people. Um, there is a YouTuber. I'm not going to say who it is, but there is a YouTuber, a channel that I can send you. But by the way, Melissa, if I forget to send you anything I said I would send you, please send me a message and say, hey, Aaron, you forgot to send me that information about blah blah blah. Because I have a lot going on and sometimes I do forget. So please, if I don't send you the information that you need, please reach out to me and let me know so that I can get back to you. But I will try to
Okay.
remember to send you, information about that. But there is a YouTuber, um, that you might want to follow. I'll send you more information about it later. Especially if you remind me, I'll be able to remember to find the channel and send it out to you. There's a channel dedicated to accessible games and accessible gaming for blind people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I also wonder,
Sure.
do you have a YouTube channel, Aaron?
Well, yeah. This show is a
That's,
channel.
oh,
I,
that's
I'm gonna send.
cool.
I'm gonna send it to you. Don't worry. After we end the show, I'm gonna go do other things. Take my dog out. My dog is old, so we're gonna go out and go for a little walk around our woods, and then I'm gonna go probably get something to eat, and then I'm gonna go start the process of basically uploading and basically publishing this show on Anchor and then on YouTube. And then after I have both of those things, then you're going to get a message, and one of the messages is going to be the podcast, right? The audio file that you can listen to, and the other is going to be the YouTube video. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
Our My favorite is the YouTube video because I can blow it up as well as hear it.
What,
Because
what are
YouTube
you
has.
what are you so concerned? This is hysterical. So you're blind and you're more concerned with blowing up a video than just listening?
Oh,
Why can't you just listen to the pod? What do what do you need the YouTube for? You can just listen to a
oh.
podcast. You don't have to blow it up.
Oh, okay, that works. I don't
Yeah.
need to
No,
confuse
there's no
brains.
need to give yourself a headache when it's an
True,
audio podcast, Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
I see your point there. Um,
But yes, I will send you a YouTube video if you insist upon blowing up the quality of the video so you can see it. I'll send you a YouTube video for you to watch if you'd rather. Okay, fine if you'd rather get a headache. I'm not stopping you. Free country. You can have a headache if you want.
I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure it's so big that I won't get a headache.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And then I'm going to get a complaint. I'm going to get some complaint letter from you. Aaron, yeah, you're right. Your channel causes headaches.
Well,
Okay,
I
fine.
should
That's
take
the end
the
of that contract. Bye.
I
There
should
she
I
goes.
should I should take the easy route then, probably just listening then.
Yeah, why can't you just take the easy way out? Come on. Just just
Well,
just go with what's easy. That's what people do. Don't
oh,
stress. I will
okay.
I will
I
send
try
you.
not to strain. I try not to strain. Don't worry, I'm still going at it with the braille.
Well, good. Well then, good. I will certainly send you both sides. But it's all you understand. It's all the same thing. The YouTube video is for people on YouTube. The podcast is for people who are on the podcast. But it's all the same material. Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing
Um,
special about watching the YouTube video, apart from the fact that the YouTube video usually gets more hits, more views. YouTube is a broader audience, but the podcast is a smaller and more precise audience, probably. But I don't, they always say, oh, there's a science behind it. I'm not convinced that there truly is a science behind all of this.
can I also ask,
Yes,
you know,
ask everything. Go.
does do any of you wear glasses, powerful glasses like mine?
Well, I do. I have bifocals. What about you in the community? Yes.
I have I have glasses, like one lens is the working lens and the left lens is nothing, just glass.
Yeah.
Like my full lens power, I don't know if I should disclose it here, but it's pretty strong.
Okay. You can disclose it if you want. I don't think that's.
It's a full 19 on the right lens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, my main wish is to get back on that freaking braille. Bring
Right.
the braille back. I missed that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody in the visually impaired group is doing a braille giveaway, count me in. A free
All
braille
right, guys.
giveaway.
So Aaron's show, we're keeping our ears and eyes open for a brailer, a Perkins Braille writer. I mean, I've seen one in passing on other groups. obviously not anymore, but I know that that's uh, a thing. They do. YouTubers um, give stuff away. All the time. There's all sorts of giveaways for all sorts of things. Yes. Hmm.
Like my lightsaber.
Oh. Okay, so I can take your lightsaber?
Well, I'm getting the person that's making it for me is giving it away to me as a gift.
Oh, okay. I got confused for a second. I thought I was in a trade deal. I thought I was going to take your lightsaber and then somehow you were going to get the Braille Raider. Okay. I thought
I don't
that's how it
mind.
works,
I don't
right?
mind having. I don't mind having both. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get my
well,
lightsaber from the
okay.
same
Well,
people.
then just keep begging, keep asking. Then I guess if you don't mind having, well, so would everybody else, Melissa. So would everybody else.
The slate is not my favorite, to be
Oh, okay.
honest.
We'll take the slate then. Okay, we'll get that out of your hands. Okay, fine. I see.
Actually, I
Yeah. What?
kind of can.
Yes.
I also don't have a slate anymore, but I just remember the motion.
I see. Well, yeah, you were talking about it so much, I thought you had one because you were describing it very well. The
Yeah,
positioning of the cell and the dots. Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't have that device anymore. But
Right.
I just punch very manually.
Right.
No,
Well, it's pretty easy to get the slates and styluses. I mean, that's something that could probably be arranged pretty easily, I think. Hmm.
I can write, but try to read your own print
Mm.
without straining. Um, I can write, I can write print, but I just prefer braille because
Right.
like you said, go the easy way, um, which is what I'm doing.
Right.
Even somebody in the Star Wars community, I told them about my condition and how I strain a lot, and they said, "Whoa, man, I would go for what doesn't hurt you too much." And I said, "Braille for me," and we went all laughing.
Right. Yeah, I have found that people in those types of communities, these very specific communities, um, in general, people in these communities that I'm in or you're in, they tend to be very kind people because usually people join a community because they did not receive support somewhere else. So usually people on groups on Facebook tend to be very active listeners and they tend to be very receptive and respectful of people with disabilities and kind and understanding. I have noticed that. Hmm.
I've noticed it on the group. Like I'd be doing a live stream and they would overhear my screen reader and be like, "Yippee! I heard my comment," and I'd be
Right,
like,
I
"Okay."
commented and things like that. So yeah, people do watch the live videos. Yes. Hmm.
And people were getting upset about the coronavirus, and I thought me warning them was like I was like, guys, I know it seems like overkill, but they're really pushing us to be careful.
Right. It,
Like I'm just going by what I hear on the news. Um,
yeah. Yeah. Sure. Hmm. Right.
what's your take on accessibility, Aaron?
My take my take is that today you did a magnificent job of it, of really uncovering for us all the different activities that require some level of accessibility. I think if people want to learn about accessibility, I think they should go back and listen to this show or watch this video because I think Melissa did an outstanding job. By the way, have you ever been on a podcast or in a video before?
Well, I've been featured in a montage, but of in a doll community of my dolls, but not talking except for recently because I had a big problem with somebody. I had a stalker, and I had trouble with seeing the screenshots, and
Yeah.
I would and we did a little podcast, me and my sighted friend on Discord because I have Discord,
Right.
and I posted it to YouTube.
Right.
Um, and she guides me through the evidence and what's fake and what's real, and turned out that that stalker that was bothering me turned out to be a liar and a fraud after hearing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very frustrating, guys, and that might be one of the reasons why on Aaron's show we say we are from an undisclosed location, because I'm not going to talk about it further, but perhaps I have also experienced very recently a stalker, and it is something that I do not tolerate, will not tolerate. I will not be stalked. I will not be intimidated by anyone. If you love the show, great. If you don't love the show, please go find another person to stalk. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be Melissa. That's my theory about stalkers. So you know what the fact is if you're in social media, if you produce content, it's how people are. And there's a lot of
I
psychological
noticed
reasons why people stalk, but usually it's a lot of different things.
this person had a case of Munchausen syndrome where she faked to be sick to get my attention. Um, and that was
Well,
really annoying.
let's steer. I want to keep the show positive, and I also obviously do not know who that person is. I would prefer. I'm going to say no, thank you. Let's not talk about that, only because we really have no idea who it is, and if they're just. I understand, and I agree with you that they probably were a stalker, but if it was by some bizarre chance a true thing or some sort of a misunderstanding, we don't want to cause any problems with them, and we don't know who they are. So yeah, let's just keep that out of the show. But it is very scary. But it's a
Yeah.
fact of life that at some point you're stalked or intimidated or scammed, and I think that stalking and misbehaving like that and harassment, I think it's something that in American society we accept, and in other countries it's not tolerated. If you stalk someone in another country, who boy, you better lock your doors at night because someone's going to show up at your house in the middle of the night, and then I don't know. Then there'll be one of those. There would be one of those disappearances things where the person just disappears. The person doing the stalking. So you got to be really careful, all you stalkers out there. You please don't stalk. Okay, just don't.
It's mean in general. It's mean.
And dangerous, and it's not safe for you if you're a stalker. It's not safe for you to stalk, and it's not safe for the person who you're stalking. It's dangerous, so please stop. Anyway, that's life. Yes.
Well, I also want to talk theme
Yeah.
parks. Um, who here has been to Disney World? I
Oh, I
haven't
have.
got I haven't gone yet because of coronavirus. But if I
Yeah.
could go, Disney has this device that
hmm
it's called their audio description device,
Right.
and you basically put on headphones and it'll tell you where you're going in the park.
hmm
I saw a video on that as well.
Right. Well, well, good. Yeah, I think was it you who made a comment about that in the group, or I know that that's been mentioned in our group before. I simply do not know who brought it up, but I know it's been mentioned before.
Like I like how Disney is incorporating accessibility nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's really important because Disney wants to serve the customer and serve the world. Mhm.
if I were to go to Disney, I would so rent that little device.
Mm-hmm.
Their audio description, it would really help a whole lot.
Right. I see. Mhm. Good. So what, it like describes where you are in the park and it helps you to kind of navigate through the park
It,
like
hel-
that?
it helps you navigate through the park. Like if you
Mm.
were to go to Avatar Land, for example, it'll tell you Avatar, Pandora, something, something. Or if you're on a ride, it'll tell you what's going on in the ride.
That's cool. That's
Yeah, I'll
that's
send a
odd.
video.
That's cool.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
I'll send a video of what it sounds like.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
That's really interesting. I agree. I agree with you. Yes.
You're okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, don't be afraid to use accessibility. It's right under your fingers.
Right. It's right there. So we should never be afraid to turn it on and use it. Right. Mm-hmm.
Like don't fear. Even though people will get annoyed hearing your phone talk all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you just ignore the mean. That's annoying. Turn it off. Ignore
Mm-hmm.
that. Keep it on for your safety.
Right.
Um, Me, I just ignore people that say that's annoying. Turn it off. Like
I do too. Yeah, it is important to know when to ignore someone, and this is a point that I've made, that ignoring people is a skill, is a life skill, and you have to know exactly at what point to ignore behavior. Right. Yes.
yeah,
Definitely. Hmm.
and I've been ignoring the hateful voiceover comments, the hateful talkback comments. You
Why
know.
would somebody be? I don't get that. I've never really, I've never
Yeah,
experienced it. Why would somebody like spend the energy to be hateful? I mean, they're a hater, so they're gonna hate anything that they can hate, I guess. But
they're saying
what's the point?
yeah. Like people are like on YouTube. Oh, this saves my sanity. My phone is talking to me. This and that. I can't scroll. Learn the gestures. Like there's a
Right.
little tutorial that you go through when you first turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be it voiceover, talkback, voice view, narrator.
Right.
And I had all of that with my phone, tablet, and laptop. I had a little
Right.
mini tutorial that
Mm-hmm.
taught me how to scroll, how to go to the next page, what how to find and how to click.
Right.
And it'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you too. It'll tell you too. Double tap to activate, blah blah blah. Or
Mm-hmm.
in voiceovers, or in voiceovers case, double tap to open. Because
Right.
this,
Yes.
yeah, voiceover will say double tap to open, and talkback will say double tap to activate, which means to click.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts?
I think you really did a good job today of covering um, all of these topics. So, well, do you have any other questions for me, basically?
Well, have you used the brailler even though you wear glasses?
Yeah. I remember that I certainly used the brailler growing up a lot. I certainly did. Yes, and I certainly did not like it, but I know that I had to use it. Hmm.
And then you go into, oh, okay, I can do this. It's okay. Don't be afraid.
Right.
I've been afraid. Um, well, first confused, and then after my accident, I've been afraid. Because, without glasses, it's a nightmare for me.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And I learned to just feel the keys.
Mm-hmm.
They're right freaking there.
Yeah. Ex- exactly right.
How much of Braille do you remember?
Well, I remember the entire code basically, but a lot of people in our community would say that Braille has become obsolete.
Why?
Because the computers and voiceover have become so much more advanced that we do not need to rely as much on Braille.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason why I don't have a Brailler anymore.
Right.
Technology getting more advanced.
Right. Technology moved away from it. It became a obsolete, or some would say in our community that it became obsolete. Yes. Mm-hmm. I would I would say that some people would have that opinion. It still has its role, for sure it does, but also you have to embrace new technology as it comes along. So, mhm.
Yeah, like I respect the smart Brailler.
that I
That's
want
pretty.
to and that I want to learn more about. So I would have to look into that more. That sounds like an interesting idea. Hmm.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to try it if you ever get one.
I mean, I would have to see it. I would have to see the video and really get a good feel for it. You know. Hmm.
Yeah. I'll send a link.
Okay. Good.
Is is there anything you have that I have like what do you use? Do you use a tablet? I know you use a cell phone. Do you use a tablet, laptop?
So I have the iPhone X Max and I have an iMac, which is where I do my teaching from. I teach through the iMac. Hmm.
Do you use like are you like me where you navigate between voiceover, magnifier, voiceover, magnifier?
No, I don't. I don't really use the magnification issue. I have usable vision, but I don't use my vision that way.
To avoid eye strain, I bet.
I just I just focus on the voiceover. I just I don't I don't use my energy to worry about what I'm seeing as frequently.
and and I get eye strain. I've been leaning towards my hearing and sensation too. Now that I discovered accessibility, I discovered it like last year, the end of last year. And I was like, oh, this this can help your phone read out to you. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And the next thing I know, I'm using it. Um, I have TalkBack. Um, there's some features that TalkBack has that's kind of similar to VoiceOver. You know, with the
It sounded like
scrolling
it
and
earlier today. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. But you have the advantage of a little rotor you turn. You know, you have a little rotor. If you're
Right.
familiar with it with VoiceOver, you have a rotor. It'll go characters, words, lines.
Oh yeah, yeah, the rotor where you can switch how you're viewing the screen. Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
I get that. I get that too. Only I have to flick. You know, I can't turn a little dial. Talkback, you have to like flick up or down, and it'll
Mm.
go words, characters, blah blah blah. And
Yeah,
like,
that dial, I know what the rotor, and you twist the rotor around. That can be very confusing.
Time on. 1:48 p.m.
You certainly have to get used to that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
it's it's pretty cool.
Discord.
Good.
Add three characters. Word. Line. Paragraph.
Exact. Yep.
Characters. Word. Line.
So that's how we would navigate a specific page, like that. Right. Mm-hmm.
Mine's kind of different from your rotor. Um, you know, Androids is a little bit different. Androids, you have to like flick down words with
Mm-hmm.
one finger. And voiceover, you just twist as if you're turning a little radio dial.
Yes, that is what it's like. A little TV dial or radio dial. Right. Mm-hmm.
However, if you guys own Android, you'll know that it's the same thing. However, you have to flick downward with one single finger, and it'll go the same thing: words, characters, blah blah blah. My laptop would do the same thing. When I flick upward on my laptop with one finger on the screen, it'll go words, characters, lines, blah blah.
And that's a useful feature when you know when to use it when you want to read an address or read more specific information. Mm-hmm.
And even links. Have you ever had an issue with a screen reader where it just goes button, 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 button? That's common with TalkBack sometimes. I don't know about voiceover.
It used to be a much bigger problem. Now I do not experience that nearly as much or as frequently.
When I'm on Discord with TalkBack, sometimes I'll get button, 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 and I'm like, what kind of button?
Right.
Face palm. and I'll get really close with my eye for 1 second and go, oh, that's the menu. I think Discord needs to upgrade their accessibility. If you guys know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody that's here that works for Discord, please incorporate some blind accessible modes and features. This way we can use our screen readers better while on your app.
Right, exactly. And what do you talk about on your particular channel on Discord?
Well, I have a Not V learning community, the Not V language from Avatar. It's called Not V Culture and Language Community. NA''VI language, culture, and community. Because I'm a big Avatar fan as well. Avatar as in the Na'vi, Blue, Jake Sully, that kind of Avatar, not Aang.
Right.
James Cameron's movie.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always impressed with that film. Avatar was one of my favorites for sure.
And even though I couldn't see the Na'vi words too well, I could hear one Natikamiya, and that got me to practicing it. And I would listen to lesson videos on YouTube of Paul Fulmer. He made the language, by the way, for the movie. Paul Fulmer, Dr. Paul Fulmer, or as we call him, Curliu, which is teacher in Na'vi.
Right.
Wow.
Paul.
And he would describe the language and how to pronounce word after word, how to pronounce the diphthongs to the how to pronounce not Kamiya. And that means I see you in Na'vi. As in, I see you as in, you're a kind person. I see your heart. Like, I believe you.
Well, then I'm sure you also follow all of the linguist groups from Lord of the Rings, because there's groups of people who are fascinated by the Elven language.
Yeah, I also learned of Star Wars languages too, but there's barely any forums for that though. Except for people teaching it on YouTube. That's it.
Okay, that is that's YouTube for you. That's odd. That's odd and interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there's videos on how to learn Wookiee language, like how to learn Ewokese and stuff like that. How to learn Jabba the Hutt's language, called Huttese. Huttese. That's Jabba the Hutt's language.
Hmm. Well, that's all very, yeah, that's interesting that there are communities of people who wondered about that, you know. Yes. That's that's interesting. I
In
wonder.
fact, I'm such a nerd that I started brailing Navi in my little braille book.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool, Melissa. You did some brailing of the Navi language. I see.
In my little braille book, I did a little lesson video on YouTube how
Hmm.
to braille. I was like in a description, gear up your braillers for visually impaired Avatar fans. you know,
Melissa. That's really cool. That's really
yeah,
creative. That's a really good use of your time to be active and be creative.
yeah.
That's
I even
cool.
looked up. I even looked up how to braille the not the A with the two dots over it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't know what you call that, but it's the letter a
Yeah.
lowercase a with the two dots over it. I don't know what
Yeah.
you call that. And that is dots 3, 4, 5
Right.
in braille. And
Yes.
the extended I, like you see in Calc A, like the I with a slant to the left.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what you call that, but my screen reader calls it I left angle bracket something
That's fun.
something.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, that
Yeah,
reminds me because my second language is French, and in French there's like accents and different letters. So
yeah.
that's what that reminds me of. A lot of languages have accents over letters to
And
create
and the
different
I
sounds.
and the I with the slant to the left.
Hmm.
The I's dot is normally a circle, but in that V it's a slant to the left. And that is dots on Braille in dots 3 and 4. I looked it up on Google.
Good.
Um, and I looked at the how to put the extended A in I am Braille, and that came up. When I shared it with my avatar, not V language, I shared it with a community called Learn Not V on Facebook, and they were like, "Ooh, that's cool, Melissa."
That's really good, Melissa. I agree. That's a really good use of your time, and that's a really being creative is really, really, really important like that. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I also draw, and
so
I also draw on contrasted. I have a drawing program, but
good.
instead of white paperish, black on. I use black because contrast helps me too a little bit, but I prefer to hear and feel most of the time, for obvious reasons. Um, and I don't know if any of you are learning the Navi language and using a brailer. Just remember that the A with the two dots over it is 3, 4, 5, and the I with the dot slanted to the left is 3 and 4 on the braille cell.
Well,
If you're if
good.
you're if you're
So
brailing Navi,
okay. Well, the next time I have to write something down in Navi, I'll have to look it up. I'm perfectly happy with English and French, but if I ever meet someone who's a Navi speaker, I will have to gladly. No, actually, you know what? If I meet someone who's a Navi speaker, no, I'll just speak to them in French. Even the world can just learn French. Why can't everything just be in French? It's a very easy language as far as I'm concerned.
we
And can you speak? Yeah, I mean Navi is a creative language for the film for the movie, but can you speak any other second language that's actively being spoken in our society today?
I learned a little bit of French, like bonjour.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys will learn what I'm saying, but Aaron, try to translate what I'm saying. We,
Like yes,
men,
right, exactly. Hmm.
no,
Right,
bonjour.
right, exactly. Hmm.
And I got a little bit of Spanish. You may not understand this, any of you listening, but hola is hi. Um, Hola, ¿cómo estás? Is, hey, how are you? How you doing? And there's also trailing where you flap your tongue at the like 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 perdón. Like it's trilled. The R is trilled in Spanish. Where you like
Yeah, and every language makes different sounds. There's a French are like bonjour, like that. They do this thing with the R. They do this thing in the back of their throat. Yeah, when you speak
yeah.
French all the time, it's just the sounds you're making. Melissa, I want to take this time to thank you so much, for being on Aaron's show. We got you covered today, right? We got accessibility, we got Star Wars, we got the Avatar, we got life, we got philosophy. Wow.
And send my message out to all that are listening to this. Even though it's hard to see through your eyes or you can't at all, don't be afraid to use your other senses.
That's right. Thank you. After I say my outro, please stay on the line for a minute so I can disconnect the recorder so that we save the video. So
Oh, okay.
that, if you don't mind me saying, Melissa, that was a great episode of Aaron's Show, the podcast for blind persons, where we talk about issues in the blindness community. I'm suspicious that we're going to get a lot of comments and questions for Melissa. So if you have any questions, comment below, send an audio message, and as we say on Aaron's Show, have a good day today and a great day tomorrow.